People in Hokage, married Kushina, son Naruto. Chapter 001. Yi Fengkuan, Jiu-Shinai has been captured. Yi Feng looked at the group of young men and women who rushed in a hurry, and suddenly a familiar and unfamiliar memory flooded into his mind, and he suddenly stood in place. He traveled to the world of Hokage. This is Konoha Village. If memory serves, less than 10 years have passed since the Second Ninja World War. Although the undercurrent is turbulent, on the surface, at least it is a rare era of peace. And he, Yi Feng, is an ordinary subordinate. The identity is the war orphan that the Uzumaki clan picked up on the way to Konoha Village when Jiu-Shinai sent him. The young man and woman in front of him are the same young ninjas as he keyed. The four people led by Mikoto Uchiha, as well as Wave Feng Mizumon and the Hinata brothers. Mikoto Uchiha and Yakuid are childhood sweethearts, while Mikoto Uchiha is also Jiu-Shinai's best friend. As for Wave Feng Shuiman and the Hyuga brothers, they are all ninjas of the same period. From his memory, Yefeng learned that Bofeng Shuiman is a genius ninja who has learned all kinds of ninjutsu best in recent years, and has a special talent for ninjutsu, although the level is still medium ninja, but in fact, the strength is already at the upper ninja level. Gee, this is the man who can become a Hokage in his early 20s. The Hyuga brothers are also the leaders of Naka Shinobi. As for Yi Feng, he was just an ordinary subordinate. Just as Yefeng digested his memory, a line of words suddenly appeared in his mind. System starts. Given the current situation of the host, give 3 opening options. Option 1, be a salted fish, sit idly by, stay away from the plot. Reward, C-Class Physical Technique, Konoha Great Whirlwind. Option 2, create chaos, hinder the rescue, and join the villain lineup. Bonus, Kaleidoscope Sharingan. Option 3, leave Konoha Village immediately and participate in the rescue of Jiu-Shinai. Reward, Supreme Opening Pack. Settlement immediately after task completion. Yi Feng's eyes widened in surprise. The real crosser perks are coming. Sure enough, the system will only be late, but it will never be absent. Yi Feng thought very seriously. This is a very standard god-level choice. When a salted fish is the safest, it is also the least profitable. Konoha Whirlwind, isn't it the unique body art that Kai taught to Li Locke? This reward is really a salted fish reward. The second option looks tempting and is actually a dead end. Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eye. But Yefeng is not a fool. His current 3-legged cat Kung Fu, before he can create any chaos, he will definitely be arrested. The dark parts and roots of Konoha are no joke. Even if it is really successful, opening the Kaleidoscope Chakra I will definitely not escape Konoha's pursuit. Himself, a person who is not of the Uchiha family, opened the Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eye, and it is strange not to be grabbed and sliced. The third option, the Supreme Opening Package, sounds like a great name. I don't know what it is, but it can't be worse than the Great Whirlwind of Konoha, right? Don't kill Konoha's Whirlwind, the action is too frustrated. Moreover, Yefeng caught the word of choice. As long as he immediately left Konoha Village and participated in the rescue operation, he would have completed the mission. Regarding this, Yefeng also asked about the system. The system reply is subject to the system settlement. It's just that the kidnapping of Jiu-Shinai is full of weirdness. If nothing else, how could a few small Yunin Murakami shinobu lurk into Konoha Village without being discovered, and kidnap the 9-tailed Manjuli Jiu-Shinai? In the current Konoha Village, there are 8 flying sun slashes in the prime of life, young Konoha Sannin, and elite shinobi such as Konoha White Fang. This reminds Naruto of the beginning of Naruto's story, the Naka shinobi Mizuki who used Naruto to steal the Book of Seals and was finally defeated by Naruto's multiple shadow doppelganger technique. These two events are actually very similar. No matter how you look at it, it looks like someone deliberately connived at it. In any case, Yefeng has already thought of it. Complete option 3 within his ability, and immediately leave Konoha Village to participate in the rescue of Jiu-Shinai. Uchiha Mikoto said to herself, this group of bastards, taking advantage of the lack of security in the clan sacrifice of our Uchiha clan, kidnapped Jiu-Shinai. I heard that it was an undercover agent arranged by Yunin Village in our Konoha to arrest Jiu-Shinai. Bofeng Shuiman frowned and said, I'll go to Jiu-Shinai's house first to see what the situation is. Saying that, the figure of Bofeng Shuiman flashed and disappeared from everyone's field of vision with an afterimage. Instantaneous technique. Everyone showed a look of envy. What a fast teleportation technique. I heard that the secret techniques of 3 generations have been taught to Feng Sherman. Feng knew that it was not the secret art of the 3rd generation, but the art of the 2nd generation of the Flying Thunder God. Although the 3 generations are very frustrated in the anime, from Hokaige's memory, it seems that the reputation of the 3 generations in Konoha is like a sky. Hokage immediately looked at Uchiha Mikoto and the Hinata brothers and said, let's go out and look for it, maybe there are some clues. Uchiha Mikoto glared at Hokage and said, you go. The person next to him immediately laughed and said, Feng, you can stay in the village well, with your strength, going out is to add blockage. You, the crane tailor, still want to heroically save the beauty. If you are so weak, don't be stubborn. Feng rolled his eyes, ignored them, ran chakra directly, gathered chakra on his feet, and rushed towards the gate of Konoha Village. I have to say that the ordinary D-level escape technique is really slow, just slightly twice the speed of ordinary running. Compared to the yellow flash just now, the difference is too big. Soon, Feng had already run to the entrance road of Konoha Village, and from a distance, there was already a group of people surrounding the door. Feng thought about it, he couldn't get out from the door. Fortunately, he remembers that there is a path that can be climbed out of the village. So, Feng immediately turned around. However, there are also people guarding the path. This person is none other than the young Uchiha Fugaku, the father of the future Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Sasuke. Feng, why are you here? Feng hurriedly said, Fuyue, look, there are people there. Taking advantage of Fuyue's turn, Feng rushed directly over. Hey, don't go. Now it's dangerous outside, there are treacherous people from Union Village. Fugaku wanted to grab Hokage, but saw Mikoto and the Hinata brothers also coming towards here. Forget it, this kid is going out to find death by himself, no wonder I am. Fugaku shook his head and said to the Mikoto and Hinata brothers who came over, what are you doing? Can't go out here. In the blink of an eye, Feng quickly escaped from Konoha Village over the wall. Ding, leave Konoha Village, mission completion is 50%. What's next? Feng suddenly saw a strand of burgundy hair on the ground. This is Jio-Shinai's hair. Ding, find clues. 60% completion of tasks. Please continue to track down. Chapter 002. Feng frowned, this task has not been completed yet. In my mind, the direction provided by the system also appeared, just in the northeast direction. Feng looked at the dark forest and hesitated. This forest is too dark, right? It's kind of scary. At this time, Feng was wondering whether to chase after him. I'm just a shinobi. Do you want to go back and be a salted fish? But now that the task is 60% complete, maybe you can find 4 more hairs and complete it. Feng gritted his teeth, he didn't come out, how could he stop halfway? Pursue. At the same time, at the gate of Konoha Village, a yellow figure shot out like lightning. It is the Wave Feng Shui Gate. Watergate, what clues do you have in Jio-Shinai's house? The person who asked this person was none other than Konoha White Fang Banner Mushoa Shigeru. Watergate took out a burgundy hair, this hair should be Jio-Shinai's. Kiki Shuamao immediately summoned a ninja dog and made it smell Jio-Shinai's hair. The ninja immediately roared towards the northeast. The smell of Jio-Shinai should be heading northeast, but the smell is already very thin. Watergate hurriedly said, Brother Shuamao, can you catch up with them? Chimu Shuamao said with a deep groan, try it. Kiki Shuamao turned around and said, go back and report the situation to Lord Hokage, I'll go after them with Watergate. Saying that, Chimu Shuamao jumped and disappeared into the night. Soon, Feng found a second hair according to the system's prompts. Ding, find clues. 70% completion of tasks. Please continue to track down. At this time, Feng also recalled a little bit of the plot of Hokage. According to the plot of Hokage, the hair deliberately left by Jio-Shinai was found by Watergate. After a night, early the next day, Jio-Shinai had been kidnapped to the edge of the border. Just when Jio-Shinai was desperate, Watergate was born, and the hero saved the beauty. In the end, Watergate successfully rescued Jio-Shinai and won Jio-Shinai's heart. Now, there is the variable of Night Maple. Feng is curious now, he picked up all the clues, can Watergate still find Jio-Shinai? If because of his own variable, Jio-Shinai was really captured, wouldn't the entire plot behind the Hokage have all changed? Full of doubts, Yefeng quickly found the third hair. Regardless of whether the plot changes or not, now that the mission is already 80% progressive, it should be only 2 hairs away from completing the task. At this time, Yefeng would definitely not be able to give up. What Konoha Whirlwind, he would definitely not want. Chasing after him, Night Maple had already chased to the edge of the woods. The figure of Yefeng flashed and landed on the treetops, looked towards the plain outside, and suddenly the pupils of his eyes suddenly shrank. 100 meters away, several people were fleeing in the direction of Yunin Village, and the slender figure at the back, with red hair, wasn't it Joshinai? Just when Yefeng discovered Joshinai, he was also discovered. What man? A gloomy voice suddenly sounded behind Yifeng. Not good. Before Yifeng could react, a palm had already slapped towards Yifeng's back. Lie down. Yifeng spurted out blood, felt a sharp pain in his chest, and all his internal organs were about to be shattered, and fell from the tree. The ninja who attacked also fell. Yifeng saw that he was wearing a Yunin Village ninja suit, and he knew that it was not good. Wearing a standard ninja uniform, at least a medium ninja. A subordinate imp, simply looking for death. The ninja smiled disdainfully, slammed, and disappeared. Shadow doppelganger. In his opinion, this subordinate imp hit his own trick, and he will definitely die, and he doesn't need to look at it at all. Joshinai also noticed the movement of the woods, and when she looked back, her face turned white, and she couldn't see who it was, but she probably knew that it was the person who came to rescue her. Killed by the people of Yunin Village. Humph, stop struggling, hurry up. See no, whoever comes to save you will die. I thought it was funny, and I endured it to find death. When Joshinai heard this, she faltered, and Yifeng's smiling face appeared in her mind. No, it definitely won't be Yifeng, a coward. Joshinai thought about it, and her body trembled. In the distance, Yefeng leaned against the tree, panting, his eyes gradually losing focus. Ding, find Joshinai, congratulations to the host for completing the opening option 3, and reward the Supreme Opening Package. Hurry up and open the Supreme Opening Package. Yefeng felt that he was about to hang, his whole body was cold, his eyelids were getting heavier and heavier, and he was about to be unable to open them. Damn, almost played myself to death. Now this gift package is the possibility of his last survival. Ding, whether the host opens the Supreme Opening Package. Yes. Then, a dazzling light emanated from the big gift bag. Ding, congratulations to the host for getting the SSS level character card 1000 Hand Pillars. After fusing this card, the host will obtain all the ninjutsu, physical arts, immortal arts, combat experience, and cultivation talents between the 1000 Hand Pillars. Due to the large gap between the strength of the host and the character card, it is estimated that the full fusion time is 1 year. Does the host choose fusion? Fusion. Yifeng's eyes lit up, there was salvation. Between the 1000 Hand Pillars. The original Hokage. Ninja God. The reincarnation of Azura. The vitality is terrifying, the injury heals itself immediately, and Uchiha once said that, on the battlefield, no one can kill the pillars. In an instant, a virtual space appeared in Yifeng's mind. In the center of the space stood a figure standing above the heavens and the earth, it was the 1000 Hand Pillar. Yifeng's perspective was brought into the 1000 Hand Pillars, as if he was the 1000 Hand Pillars. And the enemy on the opposite side turned out to be Uchiha from his youth. Mu-dun, birth of the Sea of Trees. I saw the earth rumble and shake. Densely packed small saplings break through the ground and grow wildly at a speed visible to the naked eye, turning into a dense forest in a blink of an eye. The trees in all directions stretched out their hideous and thick branches like life, drowning Uchiha. This is the blood succession limit between the 1000 Hand Pillars. Yifeng opened his eyes and felt a very rapid change in his whole body. The pain in the body, which quickly disappeared. The cold feeling also disappeared. All the pores on the whole body, instantly stretched. The whole body is instantly filled with power. Be able to feel the energy around you being absorbed by the body and transform it into chakra in the body very quickly. Moreover, Yefeng could feel that he seemed to be integrated with the surrounding environment and had a special affinity. In just a few seconds, Yefeng went from dying to full of blood. Not only that, he could also feel that he could launch the move in his mind just now, Mu-dun, Tree Sea Birth. In a thought, a sea of trees descended. This is the terrifying blood succession limit between the 1,000-hand pillars. Moreover, Hokage also inherited all the combat experience of this ninja god between the pillars. Just for the moment of fusion, Feng had already felt his strength and increased tenfold and 100 times. This is only the degree of preliminary integration, and if it is completely integrated, it is simply unimaginable. Chapter 003 The ninja of Yunin Village did not have any awareness of the changes in Feng's body. They just took the appearance of Night Maple as a joke. Jioshinai, I advise you not to play tricks. No matter how hard you grind, no one will come to your rescue. Jioshinai gritted his teeth and said, aren't you afraid of causing war when Yunin Village captured me? Yunin Murakami Shinobu heard Jioshinai's words, and immediately laughed, cause war. Your Konoha Village is even more afraid of war than our Yunin Village. I'm not afraid to tell you that as long as we return to Yunin Village, Konoha will not dare to fight. Because when you come to our Yunin Village, you will become the human pillar of the tailed beast. When Jioshinai heard this, his eyes widened. Human pillar power. You guys. Yunin Murakami smiled and said, Jioshinai, you don't have to worry, our Yunin Village will also treat you like a guest, even higher than Konoha's. If you don't dislike it, you will be the wife of the next Thunder Shadow. In our Yunin Village, it is the First Lady. When Jioshinai heard this, his face turned white. The reason why she was kidnapped was because Yunin Village needed a tailed beast container. And to become the wife of the next Thunder Shadow. Although Yunin Murakami Shinobu said it well, she didn't want it at all. Isn't the 8-tailed human pillar power of your Yunin Village there? Yunin Murakami smiled and said, there is another one. Saying that, Yunin Murakami Shinobu clapped his palms and said, I'm done saying everything, it's useless for you to resist, obediently obey. The border is not far ahead. The person who picked us up should have arrived. Jioshinai wanted to cry. I don't want to be the wife of Lei Ying, I don't want it. Jioshinai was very flustered in his heart, and one picture after another appeared in his mind. Hey, don't hit me. You are so violent, no one will marry you in the future. Feng covered his head. Watergate smiled and said, your hair is fiery red, it's pretty good looking. Jioshinai, come and wash my dishes, women can't help but know how to cook, hee hee. Mikoto looked at her with a smile in her apron. Jioshinai, don't you really want to swim? It's cool. Friends waved at her. Gentle Uzumaki Mito old lady, we were brought here as containers for tailed beasts. But before that, find love to fill it. In this way, even if you want to live as a 9-tailed human pillar, you can get happiness. Jioshinai thought of companions such as Hokage, Mikoto, and Watergate, as well as the old lady Mito of Uzumaki, and many, many friends. Jioshinai can't bear you. Just when Jioshinai was desperate, suddenly, countless small saplings appeared on the ground, instantly growing into trees. These trees instantly separated everyone. Mu Duan. Who? Jioshinai's eyes widened, not knowing which adult had come to save him. Grab her. With an order, everyone pounced on Jioshinai. At this moment, 5 figures suddenly appeared and fought with them. Kushina looked at Konoha's adult hopefully, but her eyes widened. Night Maple. These people are all Night Maples. Jioshinai's face was sluggish, and before he could react, he was directly swept away by the thick branches that came out. Ugh! Jioshinai exclaimed, finding himself rolled up in front of a person. Before he could react, Jioshinai's feet were soft, and he was about to fall to his knees. Hey! Pepper, what are you doing? Feng hugged the soft Jioshinai at once. Jioshinai looked up, with black hair, sword eyebrows and starry eyes, and a hearty smile. Unexpectedly, Feng, who was usually timid, was actually the first person to rush to save her. Thinking of this, Jioshinai showed a happy smile. Night Feng. Feng smiled and said, how is it, surprise or not? Jioshinai saw Feng's smiling face, and the tension and worry in her heart were swept away. She looked at the Night Maples beside her, and then looked at the 5 Night Maples fighting on the opposite side. This is the Shadow Doppelganger technique. How else? Feng only fused less than 5% of the character cards between the 1,000-hand pillars, and he felt that he was able to completely abuse these ninjas in Yunin Village. If it were to fully fuse 100% of its power, it would be unimaginable. Jiu-Shi-Nai was stunned. When did Yefeng learn the shadow avatar? And this would escape technique. Jiu-Shi-Nai looked ahead, except for the one who took the lead and broke the shadow doppelganger and fled. The other cloud ninja had been beaten to the ground by Yifeng's shadow doppelganger. The elite undercover agent of Yunin Village who has been operating in Konoha for many years was solved by Yefeng like this. Want to run? Come here. Yifeng's hands froze, and countless tree roots immediately flew out. Nope. That Sharingan looked back, his field of vision, covered with thick roots, instantly drowned himself. Yefeng sighed. The blood succession limit between the 1,000-hand pillars is really too strong. It's just 5% strength, and it solves a Sharingan. The name of the ninja god is indeed worthy of the name. Jiu-Shi-Nai said dumbly, Yi Feng, are they all dead? Yi Feng shook his head and said, no, they are all arrested, just wait to see when our reinforcements arrive. At this time, Jiu-Shi-Nai blushed and said shyly, Yi Feng, can you untie the rope of my hands? Given the current situation of the host, give 3 options. Option 1, wait for the arrival of the yellow flashwave Feng Shui Gate, respect the original. Reward, C-grade psychic, Little Toad. Option 2, escort Jiu-Shi-Nai to Yunin Village and become a villain. Rewards, A-level ninjutsu, Hell Assault Shiban Junjitsu. Option 3, untie the hand rope and pick up Jiu-Shi-Nai. Reward, Jiu-Shi-Nai good feeling point plus 10. Supreme Pack *1. Chapter 004 Yefeng said that he also wanted to respect the original, but the original book did not respect him. Yikid is now comprehending all the ninjutsu between the 1,000-hand pillars, including the A-level psychic technique Goju Rashomon. In contrast, the reward of Option 1, C-level psychic summoning Little Toad, this is underestimated. As for escorting Jiu-Shi-Nai to Yunin Village, such a yellow-haired plot, Yefeng will definitely not do it. Isn't such a cute red-haired little lowly fragrant to bring around? In contrast, the third option, Yefeng said that he was very satisfied. Whether Jiu-Shi-Nai's favorability value increases or not, it doesn't matter at all, what matters is the reward behind, the Supreme Gift Package. The previous time you could open an SSS-level character card, what will you get this time? Just as Yefeng was about to loosen Jiu-Shi-Nai's hand rope, a yellow figure flew over. Jiu-Shi-Nai. The person who came had blonde hair, a cold and resolute face, and a fierce murderous aura. Feng Sherman finally arrived. He saw Jiu-Shi-Nai being held by a person, and his heart suddenly popped out. This person has kidnapped Jiu-Shi-Nai. Find death. Instantaneous technique. The figure of the water gate disappeared in a flash. Ugh. The figure of the water gate suddenly appeared behind Yi Feng, and at the same time, the kuwu in his hand scratched the back of Yi Feng's neck. Yi Feng squinted, and the corners of his mouth turned up slightly. Sure enough, it was a yellow flash, very fast. But my reaction is faster. Yi Feng dodged the attack of the water gate with his head down. Jiu-Shi-Nai suddenly exclaimed, Water gate. No. Feng Sherman missed a move, and the yellow figure had flashed in front of Yi Feng again, and at this time, the water gate saw clearly that it was Yi Feng. The whole person's eyes widened. Night Maple. It's over, I can't take it anymore. Watergate's movements were faster than his brain, and Kuwu stabbed into Yi Feng's chest. This. I didn't mean to. Watergate was full of guilt in his heart, and he lost his mind for a while, and he actually did such a thing. I didn't see it clearly, was it Yi Maple? However, in the next second, the Yefeng and Jiu-Shi-Nai in front of him turned into wood. Avatar technique. The figures of Yefeng and Jiu-Shi-Nai appeared 10 meters away. Jiu-Shi-Nai himself doesn't know when he was substituted. But seeing that Yefeng was okay, he breathed a sigh of relief and glared angrily at Watergate. Watergate, what are you doing? Watergate waved his hand with a guilty look and said, I'm sorry, Yefeng, I didn't mean it, I didn't see it clearly just now, and I thought it was an undercover agent in Yunin Village. Are you all right? Why are you here? Yefeng smiled, didn't say anything, and shot directly. Fighting back is not Yi Feng's style. I saw that as soon as Yi Feng's foot stepped on it, the ground instantly cracked. All the chakras condensed on his feet, glared hard, and instantly appeared in front of the water gate. Watergate's eyes widened, and his heart was horrified. What a speed! The water gate had only had time to protect his hands in front of him, and he was already kicked away. Tell you not to look at people. Tell you to shoot indiscriminately. The water gate was in the air, and he was constantly punched and kicked by Feng, but he never fell. Remember to look at people later. Next time like this, I'll burst your dog's head. The water gate broke 3 trees in a row before stopping and sliding to the ground. His clothes were all broken, his face was swollen, and his face was sluggish. He was a genius ninja, a man who wanted to become a Hokage, and was actually beaten by a crane-tail shinobi. Although Watergate was guilty in his heart, he didn't fight back the moment Feng made a move, but he didn't expect it at all. He just fell behind a move, and he was beaten by Feng. After being sent flying, it is completely out of control. Such combat control ability is terrifying. Could it be that Feng was a peerless genius in battle? Or maybe Feng had been hiding his strength before. Jioshi also stood in place stupidly, watching the Watergate being beaten a little badly. But she was even more angry. If it weren't for the avatar technique just now, Feng might have died. Watergate should be hit. At this time, a pitch-black crow flew in the air. The crow's eyes were also pitch-black, reflecting the face of a middle-aged man. Konoha Village, Hokage office. Ape Fei-ri looked at the scene reflected in the crystal ball, and his brows furrowed slightly. As a doctor of ninjutsu, Sarutobi-sun / all non-blood succession limit ninjutsu will be used. The crow's psychic technique is nothing. He saw through the eyes of the psychic crow in the crystal ball that Feng was using the Mudo avatar technique just now. What matters is not the Mudun avatar technique, but the timing of Feng's use of the avatar technique. Although the avatar technique is only a C-level ninjutsu, it is definitely not simple to be able to use it so well. This is completely wrong with the setting of the tail of the night maple crane. Moreover, the punch and kick just now is very solid. Every punch, every kick, is just right. It doesn't feel like a child's fight, like a battle-hardened general bullying a schoolboy. Watergate was bullied too badly. There's something wrong with this kid. Konoha White Fang hasn't arrived yet. At this moment, Konoha White Fang and Chimu Shuamao arrived. He saw the Watergate leaning against the tree, and then looked at Feng and Jioshi, and frowned. A shinobi appeared here, and the first feeling of Konoha White Fang was that something was wrong. Not far away, several Yun shinobi fell to the ground, already unconscious. This is all Watergate's handwriting. But how did Watergate get hurt like this? Chimu Shuamao looked at Feng with a puzzled look and said, "Are you Feng? What's going on?" However, Feng ignored Konoha White Fang and walked over to Jioshi. Feng untied Jioshi-nai's hand rope, and a princess hugged him, holding the weak Jioshi-nai in her arms. Ah! Night Maple. Wait, Jioshi-nai exclaimed softly. No boy had ever hugged her like this. Jioshi-nai covered her face, and she could feel that her face must be crimson and hot. In the faint and gentle moonlight, Feng's flowing black hair was dyed with a layer of silvery white brilliance, which looked particularly different. Jioshi-nai secretly peeked at Feng through his fingers, and his heart fluttered. Ding, complete option 3. Congratulations to the host for getting the reward, Jioshi-nai good feeling value plus 10. Supreme Pack *1. Chapter 005 Chimu Shuamao saw Feng pick up Jioshi-nai, ignored him, and frowned. At this time, Feng looked at Chimu Shuamao and said, "Those Yunren are the murderers, I will send her back first." Chimu Shuamao hurriedly said, "Wait, it's dangerous on the road, I'll send you back." "No thanks." After speaking, Feng hugged Jioshi-nai and jumped gently to the treetops. "Jioshi-nai, let's go back to the village." Jioshi-nai nodded. Jumped continuously and disappeared into the night. Chimu Shuamao saw that Feng was leaving in the direction of Konoha Village, and the 3 generations of psychic crows were following, so he did not chase after him. "Watergate, are you all right?" "It's okay." Watergate shook his head and got up, looking lonely. His confidence had just been severely hit. Along the way, Watergate was a scholar in the ninja world, but I didn't expect to be abused lightly today. Chimu Shuamao glanced at the Watergate strangely, and there was an incredible guess in his heart. The injury on the Watergate should not be done by the lower shinobi, right? It is impossible, it must have been injured in the fight with Yunin Murakami Shinobu. Thinking of this, Chimu Shuamao said, "Watergate, You have worked hard, let me deal with all the next things. Saying that, Chimu Shuamao summoned 8 ninja dogs, bit all the undercover agents of Yunin Village lying on the ground, and dragged them back. The quiet night sky, the big round moon hanging in the sky, and a secret black crow became the background of Yefeng and Jioshinai. Yefeng frowned and looked at the crow. He also felt that it wasn't I. Konoha, Hokage's office. The little one found my eyeliner, forget it, since it's back, there's no need to look at it. Sarutobi smiled, stood up, and left the office leisurely. In the air on Yifeng's side, the crow slammed and turned into nothing. Jioshinai did not notice anything but quietly looked at Yifeng. You, how did you find me? Asked Juzunai weakly. The sound is completely devoid of the momentum of the past. Such a weak Jioshinai has never appeared in Yifeng's memory. Thanks to your hair. Such beautiful hair, I saw it at a glance. Jioshinai smiled, pinched his hair and said, really? Jioshinai's heart suddenly warmed, her pretty face had a faint blush, and her heart beat very quickly. Yifeng smiled and said, actually, the first time I saw you, I thought that your long red hair was particularly good-looking. This is what Yifeng's predecessor has always wanted to say, but the predecessor is a war orphan and has always been very cowardly and afraid to say it. Now Yifeng said it for him, and it can be regarded as fulfilling his long-cherished wish. This is also how Yefeng feels when watching anime. Of course, Yefeng sees the live-action Jioshinai, which is even better than the anime. The breeze gently blew Jioshinai's long red hair, her beautiful cheeks, and her blushing dimples looked beautiful and moving. Yes. Jioshinai opened her big eyes, looking at Yifeng's cold face, her heart was sweet, is this a confession? At this time, Jioshinai found that he had not known Yefeng for a long time. At this time, Jioshinai discovered that Yefeng was a very good ninja and a very trustworthy person. Thank you. Yifeng, Jioshinai looked shy, took the initiative to stretch out her arms and hug Yifeng's neck, quietly looking at this man who changed her fate. Under the faint moonlight, the figures of Yefeng and Jioshinai gradually fused together, just like the heartbeat of the two accelerated. Kushina suddenly remembered what Mrs. Uzumaki Mito had said, we were brought here as containers for tailed beasts. But before that, find love to fill it. In this way, even if you want to live as a 9-tailed human pillar, you can get happiness. She suddenly felt as if she had found this happiness. Ding, Jioshinai good feeling value. Yefeng ignored the system prompts and enjoyed his alone time with Jioshinai with peace of mind. However, the system doesn't seem to want to let the overnight maple go so easily. Ding, given the current situation of the host, give 3 options. Option 1, send Jioshinai back immediately and be a good person. Reward, sea-level ninjutsu. Option 2, put down your arms and fight against the thunder shadow that invaded the border, and be a hero. Reward, blood succession limit, white eyes. Option 3, enjoy this wonderful night quietly and do nothing. Reward, forbidden technique, dirt rebirth. Originally, I wanted to be a good person, but seeing sea-level ninjutsu, I couldn't bear it. Thunder shadow invasion. Shut me up. The corners of Yifeng's mouth turned up slightly, jumping between the trees, and suddenly deviated from direction, not the way to the gate of Konoha Village. Jioshinai exhaled softly, Yifeng, where are you taking me? You'll find out later. Yifeng walked through the woods, jumping back and forth between the mountains and rocks, and Jioshinai in his arms suddenly lit up his eyes. 2 huge mountain rock figures appeared in front of him. Yes, Hokage rock. Under the bright moonlight, the portraits on the fire shadow rock had a solemn feeling. At this time, there were only 2 people on the Hokage rock, namely the first generation of Thousand Hands Pillar and the second generation of Thousand Hands Pillar. 3 generations of apes flying to the sun, in the prime of life, have not yet retired, naturally will not do such a stupid thing to lose their value. Ding, discover the Hokage rock, check in successfully, and reward S-level time and space ninjutsu, the art of flying thunder god. Yifeng didn't expect that on a whim, there would be an unexpected surprise. The Flying Thunder God technique is an S-class time-space ninjutsu developed by the second-generation senjutsu and belongs to a type of instantaneous technique. Using the spell to achieve teleportation, the caster will leave the Flying Thunder God technique on the target beforehand, which can make the caster or objects indirectly in contact with the caster chakra teleport. It is also the famous ninjutsu of the yellow flash wave Feng Shui Gate. In an instant, all the knowledge about the flying thunder god art appeared in Yifeng's mind, and he immediately learned it. The current wave Feng Shui Gate has not yet learned the art of flying thunder god, but Yifeng has taken a step ahead of others and learned the art of flying thunder god. Let me down. Jiu-Shin-Nai was pleasantly surprised, standing on the head of a generation of thousand-hand pillars, joyful. Yifeng sat down, smiled and said, "Haven't you been here?" "No, I always wanted to come, but they wouldn't come." Jiu-Shin-Nai overlooked the entire Konoha village from the top of the Hokage rock, and it was already night, lit up, and there was a warm feeling. "It's so pretty." Jiu-Shin-Nai also sat down next to Yifeng, dangling his calves. The little hand accidentally touched Yifeng, and immediately retracted like a little rabbit. Yifeng directly reached out and grabbed Jiu-Shin-Nai's small hand and held it tightly. Jiu-Shin-Nai suddenly blushed and withdrew his hand forcefully, but the movement was too large, and he slid directly from the top of the Hokage rock. Ugh! Jiu-Shin-Nai exhaled softly, only to find a few thick branches that supported him from below. The root carried Jiu-Shin-Nai back, and Jiu-Shin-Nai's face turned red. She felt like she was really stupid. Almost fell. Fortunately, it was Night Maple who was there. Jiu-Shin-Nai looked at the roots of the tree and retracted again, looked at Yifeng curiously and said, "Yifeng, how did you get Muduin?" Now Jiu-Shin-Nai is a little doubtful. Yifeng should not be an illegitimate son of a generation, or an illegitimate grandson, right? Otherwise, how could Mudun use it so brilliantly? At this time, at the gate of Konoha Village, Sarutobi Hinata and Lady Sarutobi Biwako, as well as a generation of old Lady Uzumaki Mido, specially waited at the door for the return of Yifeng and Kushina. And then it turns out, what about people? Where did they go? Chapter 006 in Yifeng, you know what? My dream before was to be the first female Hokage. The first female Hokage, I can hear the calluses in my ears. Jiu-Shin-Nai smiled bitterly and said, "Yes, now I know that in order to realize my dreams, you must have great power, but unfortunately I don't." Yifeng looked at Jiu-Shin-Nai and smiled. Jiu-Shin-Nai puffed out his mouth and said, "What are you laughing at? Since it is a dream, how can you give up easily? Isn't it the female Hokage? I think you can. In the near future, you will be the nine-tailed pillar force. Just imagine, the female version of Naruto, why can't she be a Hokage?" When Jiu-Shin-Nai heard Yifeng's words, he immediately rolled his eyes. "What about you?" I'm a salted fish." Well, I suddenly felt that it was not bad to guard Konoha. Just when Yokaide said that he wanted to be a salted fish, another voice appeared in his heart, that is, guarding Konoha. Yifeng could feel that it was after he fused the character card between the thousand-hand pillars, and he was also affected by the ninja path between the thousand-hand pillars. The original idea was that as long as you protect the village, you can sacrifice yourself. It's just that this concept, Yifeng does not agree. The layout of the village is too small. Yifeng saw that it was the entire ninja world, the entire continent. In the end, I don't think guarding Konoha can be regarded as big love, only small love. Jiu-Shin-Nai chuckled and said, "Your words are so strange, guarding Konoha is just xiaoai. So what is great love?" Yifeng looked up at the moon hanging high in the sky and said, "Great love, of course, it is the unification of the ninja world, world peace. You say, we Konoha inherit the will of fire, others have the will of water, the will of thunder, the will of earth, the will of wind, and people in different villages have their own will. All villages, all countries, must guard the will in their hearts, and there will definitely be conflicts, which is the root cause of many ninja world wars. If there was only one will in the entire ninja world, would it be able to fight?" Jiu-Shin-Nai snorted and said, "Crooked heresy. In this case, do not talk nonsense in the village, you know." 1 hour later, Jiu-Shin-Nai looked at Yifeng and said, "Yifeng, it's too late now, let's go." Yifeng clapped his palms and stood up. Jiu-Shin-Nai also stood up. Yifeng smiled and directly pushed Jiu-Shin-Nai down. Ugh! Jiu-Shin-Nai exhaled softly and hugged Yifeng tightly. Yifeng threw a flying thunder god technique style kuwu in the air, and plunged straight into the village wall below. Ah! We fell. As soon as the words fell, Jiu-Shin-Nai found that he had arrived at the wall of the village. This is the first time Yifeng has tried to use the flying thunder god technique, and the consumption of chakra is a bit large, no wonder it is a forbidden technique. Like the multiple shadow avatars, chakra is not enough to be used. Yefeng glanced at it, and another reason was that the skill level was too low. If the skill level is increased, the consumption of chakra should be reduced a lot. As for how to improve the skill level, you should practice your skills. Jiao Shinai asked with a curious look, is this ninjutsu? Yefeng smiled and said, don't tell anyone else. Jiao Shinai nodded blankly. At the gate of Konoha Village, the third generation and the others have been waiting for more than an hour. Uzumaki Mito looked at Sarutobi Hinata indifferently and said, 3 generations of Hokage, what's going on? Although Uzumaki Mito has long ignored the internal affairs of the village, as the first old lady, Uzumaki Mito is a senior wife of 3 generations in terms of generation. Ape Fei re-slashed in front of Uzumaki Mito, and did not dare to make a second attempt, and quickly said, old lady, it's all blamed for the negligence in the next moment, but there is no evil intention in looking at Yi Feng, maybe where did he take Jiao Shinai to play? Sarutobi re-scolded Night Kid in his heart, who in the village does not know, Uzumaki Mito lost his son in his old age, and he valued his granddaughter Tsunade the most, and there was also Jiao Shinai, the successor of Renzhuli. Now Yokai doesn't know where to take Jiao Shinai, and Uzumaki Mito is now asking for guilt, and he is going to be miserable. Uzumaki Mito looked at the ape flying sun chop coldly and said, ape flying sun chop, it's so late, what else is fun? Sarutobi knew that Uzumaki Mito was angry, and quickly said, old lady, I must find them out in the next place. Suddenly, a girl's voice came from behind. Grandma Mito. Uzumaki Mito looked back and saw that Jiao Shinai had thrown himself into his arms. Jiao Shinai, are you all right? Jiao Shinai shook his head and said, Grandma Mito, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were waiting here. Uzumaki Mito said very kindly, it's okay, Jiao Shinai, where did you go to play? We went there. Jiao Shinai pointed at Hokage Rock and said. Uzumaki Mito looked at the first generation on the Hokage Rock, and then at Yokai. This young man's temperament was a little similar to that of his husband Senjuju. Am I too old and dizzy? Young man, are you? Yi Feng was in awe. In the next Yi Feng, I have seen the first old lady. This is the oldest ninja in the village, and one of the strongest ninjas in the village, the current 9-tailed Manjuli. Although old, the emaciated camel is bigger than the horse. Uzumaki Mito smiled and said, very good, young man, I heard that you will be Muduan. Can you show the old body? Yikid could feel that Uzumaki Mito was not malicious, and with a flick of his hand, small green saplings immediately grew on the ground. Everyone's eyes widened. Ape Fei Richo couldn't help but ask, Yi Feng, when are you? Yi Feng shrugged and said, when I went to rescue Jiao Shinai today, I was seriously injured by Yunin Shangren, and I don't know why, so I suddenly awakened. Awakened the blood succession limit. Yes, it just suddenly became like this. Sarutobi looked at Uzumaki Mito. Uzumaki Mito nodded and said, it's the breath of the Thousand Hands clan, not the kind of artificial breath. I didn't expect Yefeng, you are also the bloodline of the Thousand Hands clan, and you also awakened the blood succession limit. Saying that, Uzumaki Mito's voice choked a little. The inheritance of the Thousand Hands clan has not been broken, even if the old body is dead now, there is no guilt in going down to the 9 springs to see the pillars. Sarutobi Biwa Lake hurriedly comforted and said, don't say this, old lady, this is the luck of the Senju clan, and it is also the luck of Konoha. The 3 generations also echoed, yes, we have another young talent in Konoha. Uzumaki Mito smiled and looked at Yokai and Kushina like seeing the young pillar in himself. Otherwise, go home and match them. Thinking of this, Uzumaki Mito said kindly, Yikid, Jiao Shinai, let's go back, chapter 007, go back. Yikid was stunned for a moment, shouldn't he go back to the residence of the Uzumaki clan with Uzumaki Mito and Jiao Shinai? He moved out when he was 10 years old and lived alone by the river outside the village. Because Jiao Shinai was too violent, Yefeng was beaten badly, plus growing up, men and women were not intimate, Yefeng simply ran away from home. Yi Feng didn't expect that there would be a day to go back. Uzumaki Mito looked at Yokai lovingly and said, yes, you won't live outside by yourself in the future. Yi Feng waved his hand and said, the old lady doesn't need it, I'm used to being free alone. Jioshinai was originally very happy, but when he heard Yefeng refuse, he suddenly felt a sense of loss. Did he fight too much night maple before? Ape Flying Biwa Lake said, Yifeng, let you move back in, it is also for your own good. Moreover, when you go back, you will also have a companion with Jioshinai. Jioshinai's face suddenly turned red, and he secretly glanced at Yifeng. Ape Flying Sun Chopper also said, yes, you have awakened the blood succession limit of the Thousand Hands clan, and it is really not safe to live outside. Uzumaki Mito nodded and said, Ye Kid, you live outside, you really don't feel at ease, can you accommodate my wife? Old lady, you are serious. Yefeng muttered and said, I'll move back, but give me one night to pack my things. Yifeng, do you need help? Jioshinai asked softly. No need, see you tomorrow, Jioshinai. Yefeng smiled and said. Ape Fei Richo coughed and said, Yifeng, Jioshinai, come to my office at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Got it, Naruto-sama. Yefeng agreed, turned around and left. Jioshinai looked at Yikid reluctantly, and Mito Uzumaki next to her smiled lovingly. She could see the little girl's thoughts. Ape Fei sighed, the village has not been peaceful recently. Unexpectedly, Lei Ying and the eight-tailed Manju Li both went undercover to save Yunin and crossed the line, which was too bold. Shuo Mao and Shuman were both injured and returned, but fortunately they just lost those cloud-hidden undercover agents and did not lose their lives. It was also for this reason that they were not worried that Yefeng lived outside alone. And not only the danger of other ninja villages, but also the undercurrent inside the village. If it weren't for someone inside the village to help Yunin go undercover, Jioshinai wouldn't have been robbed so easily. Yifeng went back to his one-story log cabin by the river and lay down directly. Today's day's harvest is really too much. Character cards between the Thousand Hand Pillars, the Flying Thunder God technique, and the rebirth of Dirty Earth. And Jioshinai. From today onwards, the plot has changed, and with my help, this chick may really be able to become the first female Hokage. There is also a Supreme Gift Package that has not been opened yet. Ding, do you want to open the Supreme Gift Pack? Yes. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the S-level Psychic Inheritance, Dragon Earth Cave. Longdi Cave, one of the 3 holy places, the inheritance place of the same name as Miamu Mountain and the Wetbone Forest, is inhabited by a large number of snakes, among which the high-rise big snake is good at using fairy arts, and the white snake immortal lives on the throne deep in the Dragon Land Cave. Please explore for yourself. Yifeng looked at the scroll that suddenly appeared in his hand and pondered. This is the inheritance scroll of Longdi Cave, and you can enter Longdi Cave by opening the scroll, which contains the inheritance of various small snakes and big snakes. The big snake pills Psychic Beast Big Snake, 3-headed snake, and 10,000 snakes are all high-level big snakes among them. Sasuke's Psychic Beast, Little Green Snake, is also a member of the family. It's really interesting. I don't know if it's the Ninja God Thousand Hand Pillar is powerful, or the White Snake Immortal is powerful. However, tonight, there is really a fate with Longdi Cave. Yefeng looked out the window, and at the window, there were one small white snake after another, the snake letter swallowed, and his eyes flashed with light. At the same time, Yefeng could sense that around the house, hundreds of small white snakes were pouring into the house densely. An extremely cold malice enveloped the entire room. It's a big snake pill. Yifeng moved gently, and countless tree roots appeared on the ground, instantly hanging all the little white snakes on the ground. Good, good. An extremely cold voice appeared. Yefeng looked out the window, and Orochimaru was standing by the river, looking at himself with interest. Wild and dangerous gaze, and that seeping snake smile. This was the first time Yefeng had seen the big snake pill. Hey! Orochimaru's ears sounded Yifeng's sigh, and he actually made himself feel a trace of danger. Huh. Dark magic. This illusion is to create a dark environment that blocks the opponent's vision, and in complete darkness, only the caster can see clearly. It is an illusion that hallucinates vision and takes away all light. In the dark world that seems to have descended from pitch black, even powerful people can only be forced to reveal their position. This teenager is really so funny. There is even a dark technique of the Thousand Hands clan. It's a replica of the original. Orochimaru's eyes emitted a dangerous light. This person is full of secrets, I must capture it back for experiments. Living experimental subjects are worth more than the corpses of the first generation. At this time, Feng's voice came from the ears of the big snake pill. My house has been damaged a lot, you have to compensate. Before the words fell, a piercing sound broke out in the back of his head. Orochimaru's heart was very dangerously alert. Body fixing. Although the body fixing technique is a D-level ninjutsu that Shinobi also knows how to use, but now the Great Snake Pill is used, and even Konoha White Fang can be restrained. However, with a loud bang, the big snake pill was directly kicked and exploded by Feng. Although Feng was fixed, the force was too great, the speed was too fast, and the inertia was still there. Blood splattered. A small white snake shattered into countless segments and fell to the ground. Avatar. Feng's pupils shrank, and a fierce killing intent appeared on his body. It's really a big snake pill. The big snake pill suddenly appeared 10 meters away, and a bloodstain appeared on his face, and he was still injured if he didn't completely dodge it just now. If it's 0.1 seconds late, you'll probably have a headshot. Chapter 008 It's so interesting, this is a strange force, the physical skills of the Thousand Hands clan, which can burst out powerful air currents through the air. Are you really an orphan of the Thousand Hands clan? At this time, the big snake pill also became completely serious. Hidden Shadow Snake Hand. However, the big snake pill went in the wrong direction. The dark technique limits the vision of the big snake pill, and in the eyes of the big snake pill, the perspective is dark, and nothing can be seen, and he can only rely on intuition. Then, Orochimaru's intuition was wrong, and several hideous pythons shot out from the cuffs and frantically output into the air. At this time, the big snake pill found that he was a little careless. He had just received a lot of injuries, and he originally thought that he could suppress the other party, capture the other party and go back to the laboratory, study it well, and see if he could find out the secret of the Thousand Hands clan. I didn't expect this guy to be so tricky. The cold moonlight, the ground was a white flower, but in the vision of the big snake pill, it was pitch black, and the 5 fingers could not be seen. At this time, there was a whistling wind sound behind the big snake pill's head. Behind. The big snake pill quickly lowered his head, and suddenly a painful look appeared on his face. Lumbago. Bend over too fast. Blood was oozing out. Not good. Orochimaru knew that something was going to happen. Avatar. Bang. Bang. However, the stand-in technique also did not work. Feng hit the stand-in with the first blow, and in the second blow, the big snake pill had already felt the sharp fist wind blowing on his face. Instantaneous technique. Orochimaru jerked back and sighed. At a young age, he has such a fighting talent, he is simply a genius. Whether it was the position or the timing, he grasped it so accurately, and with his fists and feet alone, he was forced to retreat. It's not like a shinobi at all. Although the physical skills of the big snake pill are not good, they are also shadow-level powerhouses like the 3rd generation of Shurching, and the physical skills of the general ninja may not be as good as the big snake pill. To clean up the brat who had just awakened the blood succession limit, he actually failed. Just like the continuous attack just now, that kind of terrifying momentum, I am afraid that one punch can defeat ordinary Shangren. Feng didn't expect that the big snake pill would retreat like this. This is the Konoha Legend 3 Shinobi. It's a bit weak. Although it is a little stronger than Bofeng Shuiman, it is not much stronger. The performance of the big snake pill made Feng a little disappointed. Come again. Feng still didn't feel too addicted. Orochimaru was furious. Originally, he was concerned about his injuries and didn't want to cause too much movement, so he just used 30% of his strength. Now you really think that my big snake pill is a bully? Kusanagi sword. Orochimaru lowered his head and took out the Kusanagi sword from his mouth. Stop. Suddenly, a huge King Kong Rui stick fell from the sky. It smashed between the big snake pill and Feng, separating the two. The big snake pill was knocked off again, fell heavily on the ground, and spat out a large mouthful of blood. At the same time, Night Feng's dark technique was also cracked. The big snake pill regained his vision, and the moment he saw the King Kong Rui stick, he put away the Kusanagi sword. Ape Fei Ri chopped down, put away the King Kong Rui stick, and quickly looked at Feng and said, Feng, are you okay? Before he finished speaking, he felt that the atmosphere was a little wrong. Looking back, I saw how the big snake pill fell to the ground. What's going on? Sarutobi frowned. The big snake pill was actually beaten and vomited blood. It seems that Yefeng is not simple. Yifeng pointed at the ape flying sun slash and said, 3 generations of adults, it was your King Kong rod that smashed him. Huh. Is that me? The big snake pill had blood on his mouth, and said with a smile, Teacher, it's nothing. I just heard that someone suddenly awakened the blood succession limit of the Thousand Hands clan, and I was curious to test it. Be bold. Ape Fei Ri looked at the big snake pill with a scowl on his face. The big snake pill didn't come back to report it the first time. Come here to test. You're just daring. Ape Flying Sun Chopper is really angry. Not long ago, a generation of old ladies said that they wanted Yefeng to go back, in case something happened to Yefeng. How could he explain to a generation of old ladies? The great snake pill did not go through the temptation he agreed to, and he was already angry with the ape flying sun. This guy of the big snake pill, who originally hoped to inherit his mantle, has now done so. Yifeng, what is going on with the big snake pill? I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer tomorrow. Saying that, Ape Flying Sun Chopper took the big snake pill away. Yifeng looked at the ape flying sun, and thought to himself, this will not be the 3rd generation of old men let the big snake pill test himself. Think about it, although the 3 generations of old men are soft-hearted, they should not do such a thing. It should be that the big snake pill this guy is interested in himself. But Yifeng didn't care at all, his strength was improving every day. Not surprisingly, within a year, he will completely fuse the character card between the 1,000 hand pillars and get the full strength of the 1,000 hand pillars. Besides, today's big snake pill was taken away by the ape flying sun slash like this, and he will not trouble himself in a short time. When Yifeng's strength was raised another notch, it was Yifeng's turn to go to the big snake pill to discuss the experience of soil rebirth. It's so interesting, this is a strange force, the physical skills of the Thousand Hands clan, which can burst out powerful air currents through the air. Are you really an orphan of the Thousand Hands clan? At this time, the big snake pill also became completely serious. Hidden Shadow Snake Hand. However, the big snake pill went in the wrong direction. The dark technique limits the vision of the big snake pill, and in the eyes of the big snake pill, the perspective is dark, and nothing can be seen, and he can only rely on intuition. Then, Orochimaru's intuition was wrong, and several hideous pythons shot out from the cuffs and frantically output into the air. At this time, the big snake pill found that he was a little careless. He had just received a lot of injuries, and he originally thought that he could suppress the other party, capture the other party and go back to the laboratory, study it well, and see if he could find out the secret of the Thousand Hands clan. I didn't expect this guy to be so tricky. The cold moonlight, the ground was a white flower, but in the vision of the big snake pill, it was pitch black, and the 5 fingers could not be seen. At this time, there was a whistling wind sound behind the big snake pill's head. Behind. The big snake pill quickly lowered his head, and suddenly a painful look appeared on his face. Lumbago. Bend over too fast. Blood was oozing out. Not good. Orochimaru knew that something was going to happen. Avatar. Bang. Bang. However, the stand-in technique also did not work. Yefeng hit the stand-in with the first blow, and in the second blow, the big snake pill had already felt the sharp fist wind blowing on his face. Instantaneous technique. Orochimaru jerked back and sighed. At a young age, he has such a fighting talent, he is simply a genius. Whether it was the position or the timing, he grasped it so accurately, and with his fists and feet alone, he was forced to retreat. It's not like a shinobi at all. Although the physical skills of the big snake pill are not good, they are also shadow-level powerhouses like the 3rd generation of Shurching, and the physical skills of the general ninja may not be as good as the big snake pill. To clean up the brat who had just awakened the blood succession limit, he actually failed. Just like the continuous attack just now, that kind of terrifying momentum, I am afraid that one punch can defeat ordinary Shangren. Yifeng didn't expect that the big snake pill would retreat like this. This is the Konoha Legend 3 Shinobi. It's a bit weak. Although it is a little stronger than Bofeng Shuimen, it is not much stronger. The performance of the big snake pill made Yefeng a little disappointed. Come again. Yefeng still didn't feel too addicted. Orochimaru was furious. Originally, he was concerned about his injuries and didn't want to cause too much movement, so he just used 30% of his strength. Now you really think that my big snake pill is a bully? Kusanagi sword. Orochimaru lowered his head and took out the Kusanagi sword from his mouth. Stop. Suddenly, a huge King Kong Rui stick fell from the sky. It smashed between the big snake pill and Feng, separating the two. The big snake pill was knocked off again, fell heavily on the ground, and spat out a large mouthful of blood. At the same time, Night Feng's dark technique was also cracked. The big snake pill regained his vision, and the moment he saw the King Kong Rui stick, he put away the Kusanagi sword. Ape Fei chopped down, put away the King Kong Rui stick, and quickly looked at Feng and said, Feng, are you okay? Before he finished speaking, he felt that the atmosphere was a little wrong. Looking back, I saw how the big snake pill fell to the ground. What's going on? Sarutobi frowned. The big snake pill was actually beaten and vomited blood. It seems that Feng is not simple. Feng pointed at the ape flying sun slash and said, 3 generations of adults, it was your King Kong rod that smashed him. Huh. Is that me? The big snake pill had blood on his mouth, and said with a smile, Teacher, it's nothing. I just heard that someone suddenly awakened the blood succession limit of the Thousand Hands clan, and I was curious to test it. Be bold. Ape Fei looked at the big snake pill with a scowl on his face. The big snake pill didn't come back to report it the first time. Come here to test. You're just daring. Ape Flying Sun Chopper is really angry. Not long ago, a generation of old ladies said that they wanted Feng to go back, in case something happened to Feng. How could he explain to a generation of old ladies? The great snake pill did not go through the temptation he agreed to, and he was already angry with the ape flying sun. This guy of the big snake pill, who originally hoped to inherit his mantle, has now done so. Feng, what is going on with the big snake pill? I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer tomorrow. Saying that, Ape Flying Sun Chopper took the big snake pill away. Feng looked at the ape flying sun, and thought to himself, this will not be the 3rd generation of old men let the big snake pill test himself. Think about it, although the 3 generations of old men are soft-hearted, they should not do such a thing. It should be that the big snake pill this guy is interested in himself. But Feng didn't care at all, his strength was improving every day. Not surprisingly, within a year, he will completely fuse the character card between the Thousand Hand Pillars and get the full strength of the Thousand Hand Pillars. Besides, today's big snake pill was taken away by the ape flying sun slash like this, and he will not trouble himself in a short time. When Feng's strength was raised another notch, it was Feng's turn to go to the big snake pill to discuss the experience of soil rebirth. Back at the village gate, the Uchiha clan who kept vigil bowed respectfully to Sarutobi and Orochimaru. Naruto-sama. Lord Orochimaru. Ape Fei Richo nodded and said with a smile, hard work. Then he looked at the big snake pill and said, is your abdomen okay? Orochimaru smiled and said, it's okay, teacher, as long as you don't pursue what happened just now. Humph, do you still know the seriousness of the matter? Orochimaru shook his head and said, teacher, he shouldn't be the 1st generation. Ape Fei looked at the big snake pill coldly and said, don't talk nonsense, otherwise, at that time, the Uzumaki clan would not have allowed him to live here for so long. But now, the old lady Mito regards him as her own, and tomorrow he will move back to the old lady's side, and it is difficult for me to do things like this. So that's it, it's okay, teacher, I deliberately let him just now, and I didn't hurt him at all. Ape Fei glanced at the big snake pill. Half convinced. The big snake pill was still reminiscing about the battle with Feng just now, although he didn't give his best, he also had a hunch that the other party also had more whole cards. What are the whole cards? It seems to catch him and go back to study. Sarutobi suddenly asked, who told you that? When I rescued Chimu Shuamao and Bofeng Shuaman, they said. Ape Fei glanced at the blood-oozing abdomen of the big snake pill and said, even so, you shouldn't be tempted, the experiment of the primary cell has long been stopped. Orochimaru smiled and said, teacher, I think you can still fight for it. No, it's definitely not. Ape Fei Chopper interrupted him and said, don't talk about the original cells, you still want to use the only awakened blood succession limit of the Thousand Hands family to do experiments, are you looking for death? The big snake pill hurriedly said, Teacher, I only need a little blood, just a little, for the Thousand Hands clan, a little blood is nothing at all. Ape Fei shook his head and said, if you say no, you can't. Orochimaru sighed, okay, I know, teacher, I'm just curious, I don't have other ideas, if it's okay, I'll leave first. Wait a minute, you rest for 2 days and continue to go back to monitor the movements of Yunin Village. Teacher, I have been seriously injured, and I need to recuperate for at least half a year. Ape Fei Chop looked at the big snake pill, such an injury, a month will do, you raise it for half a year. You go to Yunin Village to hide, and it's never too late to recuperate. Today, my breath was exposed, and I am afraid that I was remembered by the 8-tailed human pillar force. Teacher, do you always want me to die in Yunin? Ape Fei Richo took a deep breath and said, don't give me these useful and useless things, where you recuperate is to recuperate, the 3 ninja lines of Konoha, even if you go to Yunin Village now, it will not be difficult for you. Don't bother yeffing anymore, not only my gaze, but also the eyes of others, are paying attention to him. If you really cause something, I can't protect you. Orochimaru smiled and said, don't worry, teacher, I won't do anything stupid, and ask the teacher to send someone else to monitor Yunin Village. Hey, Orochimaru, I haven't promised you yet, you come back. Orochimaru smiled and said, teacher, I recommend Feng, I think it is appropriate for him to go to Yunin, he has the ability to protect himself, at the same time, whether it is in the village or other ninja villages, no one knows his details. After speaking, the big snake pill had left without looking back. Hey, forget it, let the big snake pill rest for a while, he has also worked hard. Ape Fei Chopper still couldn't bear the heart, and sighed. I was also thinking about the last words of the big snake pill. Yeffing going to Yunin Village? The big snake pill also makes sense, Feng is too advantageous, but now the last inheritance of the Thousand Hands clan is on Feng, if something happens, I really can't be the first teacher. The next morning, the morning sun rose, the sun came into view, and the night maple yawned. Why are you here so early? Hokage wiped his eyes, and the doorway opened directly, and a tree root tied a ninja with a mask on his face came in. The ninja looked at Hokage with a look of horror. Before he came, but he had checked the information, how could a lower shinobi tie himself up as a middle shinobi? And his own chakra is still draining. What's going on? Nakato immediately said, Feng, Lord Tuanzo invites you to his house for a while. Given the current situation of the host, give 3 options. Option 1, go to the house of the group and become the Dark of Konoha. Reward, B-level ninjutsu, wind escape vacuum wave. Option 2, go to the Hokage's office, meet Sarutobi Hinata, and become a new star of Konoha. Reward, C-grade ninjutsu, telescopic art. Option 3, don't go anywhere, be a salted fish, automatically upgrade. Rewards, 10 times the fusion speed of character cards between the 1000 hand pillars, 10 times the experience point of all ninjutsu, not included with character cards. Does this still need to be chosen? Option 3, of course. When a salted fish, upgrade automatically. Yeffing directly threw the Nakanin in front of him out of the door and lay down again. Find death. This root was furious and did not put their root and Tuanzong in their eyes like this. He thought about it, but still had no impulse, and immediately ran back to report. Feng looked at the fusion degree of the character card between the 1000 hand pillars, and woke up after sleeping last night, which increased from the initial 5% to 5.1%. After another hour of sleep, Feng looked again, and the fusion level increased from 5.1% to 5.2%. Lie in the groove, 1 hour and 1 night. It's really salted fish that has a future. It's just that there's nothing here, it's a bit boring. Feng thought about it, left the Flying Thunder God technique for Kuwu, threw it out, and in the next second, the person arrived at Kuwu. It seems to be quite fast to practice skills like this. Therefore, Yeffing himself practiced the art of taking off the God of Thunder, flying without chaos, and his experience points rose sharply. At this time, in the Hokage office, Sarutobi had an ugly face. It's 10 o'clock, and Yeffing hasn't come yet. Uzumaki Mito, as well as Joshinai, and Orochimaru, are also in the office. Night Maple released their pigeons. Chapter 010 The Big Snake Pill specially apologized for yesterday's reckless behavior, but as a result, Yeffing did not come. It's so funny, this young man. Orochimaru's eyes flashed, and he felt the urge to immediately take him away to unpack and do experiments. Uzumaki Mito glanced at the big snake pill and said with a bad face, "Sarutobi, I know that you wanted to do a lot of research to resurrect the original Mu escape secret technique with the strength of the whole village, but that proved to be a wrong path, and it has been banned. Like last night, don't do it again." Ape Fei-ri nodded and said, "Yes, old lady, I have already warned the big snake pill, and the big snake pill has also recognized his mistake, and there will definitely be no such mistake in the future." The big snake pill skin smiled and said without smiling, "Mrs. Mito, I won't be like that in the future. Next time, I will definitely do my best to take Yefeng in an instant, not giving him a chance to fight back. And now, the priority is to transfer Yefeng out of Konoha Village. There is a good opportunity in front of you, and Yunin Village is in need of a reliable and powerful person to lurk in. If I can recommend Yefeng to enter Yunin Village, my big snake pill will have a chance. How about I go to his house and maybe he forgot?" Orochimaru suggested. "Old body and Joshinai just go." Uzumaki Mito snorted and said. Ape Fei-ri said with a deep groan, "Old lady, let's go and see what is going on." Yifeng did not expect that he released the pigeon of the ape flying sun chopper, and the ape flying sun chop actually took the initiative to come. "Huh." Yokaide bounced up on the bed and looked out the window at the old lady Mito of Uzumaki, Kushina, the third generation of Hokage, and the scientist Orochimaru, who was walking towards him. He was still training ninjutsu in his imagination just now. Yefeng experimented with different methods and found that being a salted fish is not simple. Lying in bed and training in the imagination, the improvement of ninjutsu is the highest. Therefore, Yefeng was lying on the bed just now to train. Of course, in the eyes of the old lady Uzumaki Mito and the three generations of Hokage, as well as Orochimaru, Yokaide was sleeping lazily. The third generation of Hokage couldn't help but say, "Good morning, don't train well, improve your strength, and actually sleep, it's simply a waste of good time." Uzumaki Mito snorted and said, "It's not because you were too tired last night. Only to rest until now." Orochimaru smiled and did not speak. And Joshinai saw Yefeng sitting on the bed and beckoned sharply. Yifeng immediately jumped out of the window. "Joshinai, old lady, third generation Hokage-sama, Orochimaru-kun, good morning." Saying that, Yefeng also yawned. A glance at the fusion degree of character cards between the 1,000 hand pillars, good guy, it is already 5.3%. The Flying Thunder God technique and Dirt Rebirth have both been upgraded to level 2, and their perception has also improved. Maybe, these two forbidden arts, now in the ninja world, Yefeng is the most proficient person. After all, the second generation of the original creator of the Flying Thunder God art has been hung up, and Watergate has not yet learned the Flying Thunder God technique. As for the rebirth of dirt, seeing that the big snake pill is now like a good baby around the 3 generations, I know that the big snake pill should not be as frustrating as the experiment after that. Therefore, the forbidden experience of soil rebirth is probably inferior to Yifeng. Seeing that his teacher was silent, Orochimaru snorted and said, "Yokaide, don't you put Hokage's words in your eyes now, and tell you to come to Hokage's office at 9 a.m., what time is it now?" Without waiting for Yefeng to explain, old lady Mito Uzumaki said kindly, "Yefeng, what's wrong with you? Is it uncomfortable somewhere?" "Old lady, I rested well last night, the main thing is that I don't have time to watch here, and I don't know how quickly time passes when I sleep in bed." After speaking, Yefeng looked at the third generation of Hokage and said, "Third generation Hokage-sama, is there something wrong?" "If nothing happened, I went back to sleep." The corners of Ape Flying Sunchop's mouth twitched. Yefeng was so lazy, it was simply a waste of talent. Moreover, this guy really doesn't put himself in his eyes. I have never seen a young person with such an attitude towards himself. Ahem, Big Snake Pill, you apologize to Yefeng first. The Big Snake Pill glanced at Yifeng, stood a step forward, bowed to Yifeng, and said, "Yifeng-kun, I'm sorry, I caused you trouble last night." Yefeng waved his hand and said, "It's okay." When Ape Flying Sun saw Yifeng's such generous appearance, his good impression of Yifeng recovered a lot, at least this young man's heart was there. "Yifeng, it's like this, after our high-level investigation and research, you performed well in the rescue operation last night, and decided to give you exemption from the Zongnin exam and promote the qualification of Zongnin. From now on, you are Zhong Shinobi." The envisioned picture in Ape Fei Richo's mind was Yifeng's face full of smiles, and he accepted it gladly. However, Yifeng said, I refuse. It's good to be patient, Yifeng, I will never be promoted to middle tolerance. Everyone was dumbfounded. Just now, the interface of the system appeared in Yifeng's mind again. Given the current situation of the host, give 3 options. Option 1, accept the title of Naka Shinobi gladly and become a rising star in Konoha. Reward, sea-level ninjutsu, the 3 major knives of windmill manipulation. Option 2, refuse the opportunity to be exempt from the test, indicating that you will take the Zongnin exam. Reward, Tier B physique, meet bullet needle chariot. Option 3, directly reject the title of Zongnin, it's good to be able to endure, Yifeng, never promote Zongnin. Rewards, 10 times the fusion speed of character cards between the 1000 hand pillars, A-level ninjutsu, Thunder Dun Chidori. Yifeng's eyes lit up. Does this still need to be chosen? Chapter 011 Inch Knight, Yifeng, what are you talking about? Jioshi-nai said anxiously. Uzumaki Mito and the 3 generations of Hokage both frowned. The big snake pill cursed in his heart and lay down. Originally, after Yifeng accepted the title of Zongnin, even if he didn't go undercover in Union Village, even if it was just a B-level mission, the big snake pill would be able to make some accidents. Unexpectedly, Yifeng directly refused the granting of the title of Naka Shinobi. Shinobu can only accept D-level missions and C-level missions. If you accept the lowest D-level task, if the big snake pill wants to come hard, I am afraid that his identity will be exposed on the same day. Even if it is a C-level task, if the big snake pill does not reveal his identity, I am afraid that he will have to plan for at least 3 months. The big snake pill looked at Yifeng deeply. Was this his great wisdom and foolishness? Had he expected it earlier, or was it just a coincidence? Uzumaki Mito hated iron and said, Ikid, what are you talking nonsense? Do you endure it like you've been living your whole life? Yifeng said directly, Old lady, I think it's good to be able to endure. What's wrong with Xia patience? Are you willing to be an inferior endurant forever? Why is Shinobu inferior? I think that the lower shinobi is the top pillar of Konoha, and these Shimo shinobi, which account for the vast majority, are the most powerful force of Konoha. It is their weight that has led to Konoha's today. Without the obscure sacrifice of the shinobi in one ninja battle and the second ninja war, Konoha has the current prosperous age. The first and second generations are great, but the vast number of subordinates under their leadership are also great. As a shinobi, I feel proud and don't have the idea of being promoted. Ape Flying Sun Chopper was originally very angry, but when he heard Yifeng's words, his face completely changed. Yifeng's words shocked the Ape Flying Sun very much. Ape Fei re-introspected in his heart, in the past few years, is it because he is in the position of Hokage, he has distanced himself from the vast lower patience, and ignored the vast lower patience. Old Mrs. Uzumaki Mito was also lost in thought. Jioshi-nai was watching from the side, and he was also a little dumbfounded. What does Yifeng mean by this? It's good to be tolerant. Listening to him say this, it seems to be quite honorable to be a subordinate. Yifeng doesn't care if it's great or not, whether it's glorious or not, this 1000-hand pillar character card fusion speed plus 10 times is really fragrant. After 2 consecutive selections, the fusion speed is already 20 times. An hour now is equivalent to 20 hours yesterday. Suddenly, Ape Fei re-thought about whether he had been fooled by Yifeng. Promotion to middle patients has nothing to do with whether you can afford to look at the vast number of lower patients. This guy doesn't want to bear the responsibility of forbearance. Ape Fei Richo looked deeply at Yifeng and said, Yes, Yifeng, I think you have a point, and it is very good to be able to endure, so you really don't plan to be promoted to middle patients. Yifeng shook his head and said, Thank you for the kindness of the 3 generations of Hokage-sama. Yifeng wants to be an ordinary shinobi. The corner of Ape Fei Ri's mouth twitched. You have awakened the blood succession limit, you still want to be ordinary, you tease me to play, right? Uzumaki Mito whispered to Sarutobi Hinata, Sarutobi, when I go back, I will persuade him again, he is still young and insensible. Ape Fei Ri was tired, nodded and said, Hey, okay, then let's do it first. For the first time in his life, he was rejected like this, and Ape Fei Ri was not in the mood, turned around and left. Hokage is also very busy, and he doesn't have time to accompany Xiao Xiao to fool around here. Recently, there has been a lot of movement on the side of Union Village, and Thunder Shadow and Eight-Tailed Human Pillar Force have come out to make trouble. According to the news obtained by the Big Snake Pill Lurking, Union Village has captured the second-tailed beast, the Two-Tailed Brigade, a few years ago. This time he took away Jioshinai in order to find a person for Awayoli. Jioshinai is naturally the best choice. This time, Lei Ying and Yaoi Renjuli personally stepped across the border to rescue the undercover agent. Although the Big Snake Pill paid the price of serious injuries and saved Chimu Shuamao and Bofeng Sherman, he still captured an undercover agent, but Ape Flying Sun knew that Union Village would not stop like this. Union Village must still have a backhand. Konoha also had to prevent something like the kidnapping of Kuzuhana from happening again. How martial law should be imposed in the village, how it should be prevented, these things must be discussed. Not only Union Village, but Yenin Village has recently begun to recruit troops according to spies, and they are ready to move. Precious Peace, less than 10 years old, is we're going to start again. Thinking of this, Ape Flying Sun Chopper couldn't help but sigh. The Ape Flying Sun cut away, and the Big Snake Pill naturally took a deep look at Feng, and also turned and left. Uzumaki Mito sighed, "You kid, did you pack your things?" Feng nodded. In fact, there is nothing to pack, just a few sets of clothes. In this way, Yokaid followed Uzumaki Mito home. This is the small courtyard in memory, with green inside, and birds singing and flowers. You can vaguely see someone walking around inside. Being able to occupy such a large place in the center of the village shows the status of the Uzumaki clan in Konoha. Uzumaki Mito smiled and said, "Yokaid, welcome back. In the past, we Vortex ignored you." Feng waved his hand and said, "It's okay, old lady, I used to like quiet, but now it seems that this place is also very good." "Just like it, Feng, your house is over there, Jioshinai, you take him over to put things and clean up." "Yes, Grandma Mito." Jioshinai's face was a little hot, and he lived under the same roof as Fengjuan, so nervous. Feng followed Jioshinai to his house, and he looked good. "Come in and sit." Jioshinai blushed and said, "No need, my room is next to it." After that, Jioshinai ran away very shyly. Feng was stunned for a moment. Was Jioshinai hinting at something? Root headquarters. In a dark and damp office. Tuanzang looked at all the information of Feng, and his face was surprised. Is it really a war orphan picked up on the way to pick up Uzumaki Jioshinai? Such a coincidence, it turned out to be the orphan of the Thousand Hands clan. It was also such a coincidence, when facing a crisis of life and death, he awakened the blood succession limit. All coincidence. The information of the root members should be correct. But that's too much of a coincidence. Tuanzang still couldn't believe it, or was it the final struggle between the Thousand Hands clan and the Uzumaki clan? Feng rejected 3 generations. Yes, Danzo-sama. He directly rejected the title of Naka-ninja. The kneeling mask shinobu said, he also said that it is very good to be shinobi, don't look down on shinobu, shinobu is the pillar of Konoha, and shinobu will always be the most powerful force in Konoha. What to say is to practice the line of lower patience and condense the power of lower patience. Tuanzang suddenly laughed, nonsense. What is the patience? Elite upper ninja, and even shadow-level powerhouses, is the key to determining whether a ninja village is strong or not. He doesn't want to see me. Bring him. In any case, this last orphan of the Thousand Hands clan is an unstable factor. And his active cells, very useful to himself, must be controlled in his own hands. If you refuse to agree, then you will be strangled. Mask Shinobu immediately said, Elder Tuanzo, this matter will be given to the next, please rest assured. Tuanzang pondered and said, be quick and ruthless, you alone or not safe, bring all 10 people from the roots. Yes, Danzo-sama. Also, don't do it in the Whirlpool courtyard, wait for him to come out. Chapter 012 10 people in the root, the strongest elite in the root organization. Yugen organized 3 elite shinobi, Oil Girl to take the root, Oil Girl Ryoma, Yamanaka Kaze led by 10 assassination troops. Legend has it that the 10 of them joined forces and could destroy a small village overnight. If the root organization is the Dark of Konoha, then the root 10 people are the strongest executors of the Dark. Under Tuanzang's order, the 10 members of the root division had already begun to operate, and each took his place. Around the Whirlpool courtyard, there is eyeliner all over the root tissue. At the gate of the small courtyard, a wooden child was poking ants with branches, and when he looked closely, the branch he was holding in his hand actually grew small shoots at the top. And in the courtyard, Yefeng slept on the bed, looking at his own attribute panel. Name, Feng. Strength, Ordinary Sharingan. Position, Shinobu. Character card, SSS level Senju Pillar, Fusion degree 5.79%. Blood succession boundary, God level Muduin, character card comes with it. Ninjutsu, Flying Thunder God Art LV3, Dirt Reincarnation LV3, Thunder Thousand Birds LV1. The character card between the Thousand Hand Pillars is too strong, just 5% fusion, it is already the elite upper ninja level. It's normal for Ki to think about it overnight, but the Thousand Hand Pillar is a ninja god, a strongman of the same level as Uchiha. When Uchiha was at his strongest, one person beat the 5 shadows, which is equivalent to 20% of the strength being greater than a shadow-level powerhouse. Then the 5% strength between the Thousand Hand Pillars is comparable to an ordinary upper ninja, and that is not excessive. Moreover, Yefeng also inherited all the ninjutsu between the Thousand Hands Pillar. The combat experience is also completely replicated. The system evaluates Night Maple according to his current amount of chakra and skills, as well as skills, to evaluate Night Maple as an ordinary upper shinobi. In fact, Yefeng felt that even if he was an elite shinobi, he was not his opponent. Originally, within a year, from 5% fusion to 100% fusion, now it is 20 times faster, that is, within 18 days. This speed is okay, it's not bad. Just then, the doorway banged. Night Maple. It's Jyoshinai. The door opened, and Jyoshinai changed her clothes, a blue dress, red hair, and a special white complexion. Are you okay? It's still early, or let's go see Watergate, he was injured that night. Well, how is the injury, am I going to lose money? Jyoshinai was stunned for a moment, and then giggled, it wasn't you who hit, no, it was after you hit him. I heard that Laying was coming, and he wanted to rescue Yunin undercover, and at the same time he wanted to capture them at the Watergate. There is such a thing. Yes, fortunately, Lord Orochimaru arrived in time and rescued them from the Watergate. I heard that Lord Orochimaru was also injured, but I didn't see anything serious this morning. Feng listened to Jyoshinai's words, only to know that the big snake pill was injured last night, no wonder it was so weak. In this way, the strength of the big snake pill is still there. But when the big snake pill recovered from his injuries, he was almost fused. Even if it is a weak, he can fuse more than 30%, and it is easy to deal with the big snake pill. Feng, let's go see Senior Watergate and Shuamao, after all, they are also here to save me. Ding, please make a choice. Option 1, gladly go to the hospital to visit Watergate and harvest Watergate's friendship. Reward, Sea-level ninjutsu, Ryudu Senbon. Option 2, refuse directly and drive away Jyoshinai. Rewards, Jyoshinai good feeling, 10, B-level psychic technique Earth escape tooth chasing technique. Option 3, go again another day, i.e. Feng, today I want to stay at home as a salted fish. Rewards, 10 times the fusion speed of character cards between the Thousand Hand Pillars, B-level physical skills, Epitori Renka. It seems that the system wants me to continue to be a salted fish. Yefeng glanced at Jyoshinai and lay down directly. I'm a little sleepy today, let's go another day, Watergate won't be discharged from the hospital so soon. Jyoshinai suddenly crossed his waist angrily and said, Feng, why are you so lazy? Oops, I'm sleepy. Jyoshinai stomped his foot in anger and walked out. Uzumaki Mito heard Jyoshina say that Yokaide was sleeping again, and suddenly shook her head, she really had never seen such a lazy person. Then, Uzumaki Mito thought about it and said, Jyoshinai, do you see if Yefeng will be unwell after the awakening blood succession limit? Jyoshina was originally very angry, and when he heard Uzumaki Mito say this, he was a little worried about Yefeng in his heart, and immediately asked, Grandma Mito, what should I do then? Uzumaki Mito muttered and said, well, I called Shizun to take a look, and it just so happens that Shizun has recently returned. Tsunade is not in Konoha now, Shizun is the most personal disciple of her granddaughter Tsunade, and Uzumaki Mito is now the most trusted to her. In the room. Ikide is lying in bed, and he can upgrade his skills when he sleeps. The life of salted fish is so boring and boring. Suddenly, the door banged. Who? Opening the door, I immediately saw the old lady and Jioshinai, and a little loli came. This is Feng. I see that you seem to be uncomfortable. I specially asked someone to take a look for you. This is Tsunade Heim's disciple Shizun. Mute. Tsunade's disciple. This little loli. It's so cute. Feng was slightly impressed. Shizun nodded and looked at Feng curiously. She was about to leave Konoha Village, and every few months, she would return to Konoha, mainly to gather the latest news and to get some money for her master along the way. This time back, I just learned that Yunin undercover kidnapped Jioshinai, and Thunder Shadow and Yao secretly sneaked into the border of the Fire Country. Naturally, he also knew about Feng. When Shizun learned that Feng might be injured or unwell, he came without hesitation. The first thing he said when he saw Feng was, "Feng-kun, take off your clothes and let me see." Chapter 013. Feng didn't expect that just being a salted fish would cause so many misunderstandings. But seeing that Uzumaki Mito cared so much about him, and specially invited Shizun to treat him, Feng's heart suddenly warmed. This old lady really regarded herself as her grandchild. Let me see. Shizun came to Feng's front and touched Feng's hands towards Feng. Feng involuntarily took a few steps back. Feng-kun, don't move if you are injured. Let me see your body. Shizun grabbed Feng, and Feng directly closed his eyes. Well, since Shizun-chan wants to see my body, then I'll leave it to you. Poof. Shizun glared at Feng with a strange face, and this little guy said as if I had done something to him. Jioshinai also covered her mouth and smiled. Humph, tell you to say. Shizun's soft flesh around Ikide's waist twisted gently. Even if it was a ninja, it hurt to be screwed here. This was done when Muzan was molested by patients before. However, Shizun unscrewed and exclaimed himself. So hard. Ahem, such a tough body. Muzan was slightly gaffed for a second, and quickly came back to his senses to check Feng's body. Very healthy body, no injuries at all, what a huge chakra. As a medical ninja, Shizun was very clear about the structure of his body, and when he examined Yokaide, he was very surprised. At a young age, this chakra amount is comparable to endure. After a while, the inspection is complete. Shizun said to Uzumaki Mito, Mito-sama, his body is very healthy, he doesn't look like he has an injury at all, maybe I didn't find out. How about this, if you have the opportunity, let the teacher take a look. Ikide listened next to him, his eyelids jumped, no, he was silenced to see his body, and then he had to be looked at by Tsunade. Uzumaki Mito said happily, is Tsunade Heim coming back? She hadn't seen Tsunade Heim in years. First, it was to protect Tsunade Heim, and secondly, Tsunade himself did not want to return to the sad place of Konoha. I don't know, or can Feng go to the teacher? Uzumaki Mito immediately shook his head and said, not now, the situation has not been very good recently, Jioshinai has just been robbed once, and Feng as the last bloodline of the Thousand Hands clan, cannot be careless. Shizun also understood, nodded and said, okay, Mito-sama, then I'll go first, and I'll bring the news back to the teacher. Well, be careful on the road. At the door of the whirlpool courtyard, the child played with ants for a day, and the whirlpool courtyard went in and out, but I didn't see the night maple come out. But soon, the child saw Jioshinai go out. The child grabbed the branch, and more shoots grew on it, turning into a few words, Jio out. Juzunai went out. Then, the branches were thrown directly into the alley. After another while, Jioshinai returned with Shizun. The child threw another branch into the alley, Jio plus silent back. Joshinai and Shizun are back. After another while, Shizun came out on his own. The child threw another branch. Soon, the headquarters of the root organization, Tuanzo, received news from the child. Feng hasn't gone out. Isn't Jioshinai going to take him to visit Bofeng Shuiman and Chimu Shuamao? Silence is coming. Could it be that Feng was injured? You injured Feng last night. In the office, in addition to Tuanzong, there was another person, Orochimaru. Orochimaru shrugged, and then licked his lips. No, at that time, my teacher and his old man came, what's wrong? Shizun entered the whirlpool courtyard, Feng may be injured. Maybe he was injured while rescuing Jioshinai. The big snake pill said without refusing, maybe, my laboratory, where do you arrange for me? Right here. Danzo promised to form a new laboratory for Orochimaru, who had returned to Konoha, apparently wanting more from Orochimaru. Orochimaru didn't care either, nodded and said, okay, I heard that there was another surviving experimenter in that experiment 5 years ago, called Yamato, right? Tuanzang nodded, took out 2 branches and said, look at the words on it, this is Mu Duan. The big snake pill's eyes flashed with a beast light, and he nodded and said, very good, I'll use him for experiments first. When you catch Feng, please send Feng. Tuanzan looked at Orochimaru and said, whether it's Yamato or Feng, send it to your side, you can't mess around. Previous experiments were forbidden because you were too messy. The big snake pill's eyes flashed with the light of a beast, and he smiled and said, I just want a little of their blood, I can't die. After that, the big snake pill turned and left. A bunch of stupid people, just talking about the conditions, were deceived. And just like that, another 2 days passed. The children whose routes are arranged in the whirlpool courtyard have been changed. The subject, known as Yamato, has been transferred. And the hidden people around are waiting for the appearance of Feng. But it's been 2 days, and the shadow of the night maple has not been seen. Shouldn't this night maple not go out for a month? It's really time-consuming. Even Tuanzang, where the headquarters of the root organization sits, couldn't bear it. Wait another day, after 3 o'clock tomorrow morning, if the night maple does not appear, just withdraw. Tuanzang also didn't understand why Feng was so homely, but he knew very well that if he continued to put the root 10 people here, the other work of the root organization would not have to be carried out. Feng, this kid is too cunning. In the room, Yefeng looked at the fusion degree, which had reached 20%. Opened the properties panel. Name, Feng. Strength, Elite Shinobi. Position, Shinobu. Character card, SSS level Senju Pillar, fusion degree 20.09%. Blood succession boundary, God level Muduan, character card comes with it. Ninjutsu, Flying Thunder God Art LV3, Dirt Reincarnation LV3, Thunder Thousand Birds LV3, Omaranka LV3. I have to say that 30 times the speed is really fast. And when salting fish, ninjutsu can also be upgraded. Now the 4 ninjutsu have also risen to LV3, which can be regarded as basic proficiency. With a fusion degree of 20%, I'm afraid that the big snake pill can't hurt itself. There is a certain ability to protect himself. In this case, Yefeng feels that his short salted fish career is temporarily over. It's time to get out and about. Chapter 014. In this way, if the salted fish continues, Jioshinai will be angry. Watergate lay in the hospital for several days and did not go to see it, or is it not a classmate? However, just as Yefeng was about to call Jioshinai to visit Watergate, he was told that Watergate had been discharged. Feng suddenly felt that there was no longer a friendship boat between himself and Watergate. It's all to blame on salted fish. At this time, the Watergate actually took the initiative to knock on the door. Feng was stunned when he looked at the bloody Watergate coming up to talk to him. Yikidkuin, that. What is that? Not only Feng, but Jioshinai was also a little confused. Watergate scratched his head and said, last time, I thought about it repeatedly in the hospital, and I had a lot of insights. I don't know if Yifengjuan can fight me again. Of course, if I get injured again, it has nothing to do with Yifengjuan. I took the initiative to ask for it. Watergate glanced at Jioshinai, gritted his teeth and said, what I say now, Jioshinai can testify. It's not enough to be abused once, how many times do you want to be abused? Feng suddenly felt that the Watergate was M. In the end, Yefeng was embarrassed and agreed to Watergate's masochistic request. Jioshinai said with a strange face, the boy is really strange, he fights and kills all day. Feng suddenly looked at Jioshinai, you used to use your favorite to move your fists. Whatever. Of course, it is not suitable for hands in the whirlpool courtyard. Therefore, Yefeng chose to be at the number 5 training ground in Konoha Village. Why training ground number 5? Because it was recently. Feng and Jioshinai, and the moment the Watergate walked out of the whirlpool courtyard, the 10 people in the route immediately knew. Yefeng capture operation, ready to begin. Don't reveal your identity as much as possible. Find the opportunity, thunderstrike, don't pay attention to vortex Jiushinai and wave Feng Sherman, when necessary, it doesn't matter if you hurt them. Go. In all directions, countless black shadows sprang up, all waiting for the best opportunity to capture. Yifeng was already alert for the first time. Even the Watergate looked around and felt that the atmosphere was a little wrong. As long as Jiushinai, this silly girl, is still in the dark. Yifeng groaned and pulled Jiushinai into the alley. Night Maple. Don't go in. Watergate saw that Yifeng pulled Jiushinai into the corner, gritted his teeth, and followed. He found that something was wrong, but he couldn't ignore Yifeng and Jiushinai. However, at this time, a man with a black mask fell in the air. He made a hoarse voice and said, "Wave Feng Sherman, your opponent is me." Watergate suddenly frowned and said, "Who are you?" "We." "Naturally, it is an undercover agent in Union Village." Schumann said coldly, "You are not an undercover agent of Union Village. If you are an undercover agent of Union Village, how can you take the initiative to admit it?" Before the words fell, the figure of the Watergate flashed, and instantly appeared in front of the roadblocker, and the spiral pill held in his hand shone brightly. Yifeng pulled Jiushinai and looked up at the figures that suddenly appeared around him. Everyone wore hideous masks. Judging from the breath, they were all the strength of the middle ninja or above, and even a few upper ninja. Wouldn't you? In broad daylight, there will also be kidnappings in the village. Yikid really couldn't imagine that someone would be so bottomless. Didn't he really put the 3 generations of Hokage and Uzumaki Mito in his eyes? You don't have to guess, you are roots. Everyone was stunned for a moment. Actually guessed the identity. But it doesn't matter anymore. As long as no evidence can be found, then everything is not a problem. Yamanaka Kaze, who was the leader, squinted his eyes and said, "Up." With an order, everyone rushed forward. And the mountain stroke directly used the secret art of the mountain family, the technique of heart-changing hearts. Use the soul to concentrate the spirit on one point and release it on the enemy, and after success, use strong spiritual power to control the enemy's actions, so that the enemy cannot control his body. At the same time, in the other 2 directions, 2 people opened their heads and flew out countless poisonous insects from their bodies. Parasite. In addition, in front of Yifeng and Jiushinai, the eyes of a masked man suddenly emitted a blood-red light, and the 3-hook jade was turning. Jiushinai exclaimed, "Blood Wheel Eye. There are people from the Uchiha clan in the root organization. Isn't that reasonable?" Yifeng was also full of doubts. Blood Chakra Eye Illusion, Narakumi no Jutsu. The leaves fluttered in the air with the wind, and Jiushinai began to get confused. Suddenly, Jiushinai heard Yifeng call her name, so she turned around happily and replied, "Yifeng." But he saw Yifeng covered in shurikens and kunai, bleeding non-stop and falling to the edge of the tree. The frightened Jiushinai fainted after letting out a scream. At the same time, there were others who pounced on Yifeng and Jiushinai at the same time. There are 10 people in the root, and as soon as they strike, it is a thunderous blow, and they are about to take down Yifeng. Chapter 015. In the Whirlpool Courtyard, Uzumaki Mito suddenly stood up. Not good. Night Maple went out. Looking for death, someone really deliberately wants to destroy the Thousand Hands clan. The roaring flames of the golden-tailed beast chakra appeared on the surface of the body of the Whirlpool Mito, and the eyes turned into fox eyes, and the sealing runes of the Whirlpool clan appeared on the body. Bang! Uzumaki Mito jumped lightly and jumped out directly. At the same time, in the Hokage office, Sarutobi also suddenly stood up. At this time, the Big Snake Pill walked in. "Teacher." "Wait a minute, Big Snake Pill, if there is something, we will talk about it later." "Teacher, this matter is very important." "Get out." Ape Fei re-glanced at the Big Snake Pill coldly, and the figure standing in place disappeared in a flash. Tuanzong. I should have noticed it a long time ago. The ape flew towards Yifeng's side at a rapid speed, smiling bitterly. He didn't expect Tuanzong to be so frustrated. Unexpectedly made a move against Yifeng in the village. "Do you think you can do this without evidence?" "You're wrong." Sarutobi had already sensed the chakra of the 9 tails, and the old lady was completely furious. "Tuanzo, what exactly do you want to do? Could it be that even the last bloodline of the Thousand Hands clan had to strike like this? If you go on like this, Tuanzong, you really have no way to turn back." In the alley, 10 people from the root besieged Feng. Poisonous insects, essence mysticism, chakra eyes, and countless numb-coated kunai and shurikens flew in. Just when all the attacks were directed at Feng, countless doppelgangers suddenly appeared in Feng's body. Mu Dun, Shadow Doppelganger Art. The heart-turning technique was supposed to hit Feng, but it was immune to the splitting effect when the Shadow Doppelganger technique was used. At the same time, the poisonous insects, Kuwu, and shuriken all smashed on Feng's doppelganger that suddenly appeared. The doppelganger helped Feng block the gun. Bang. 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 Multiple doppelgangers instantly turned back into wood. Yamanaka Feng with a mask was stunned for a moment, his forehead sweated. This night maple is a little difficult. Actually used a shadow avatar technique, broke their siege. At this time, the 2 oil women who raised insects continued to release insects. They all wore special glasses, and at a glance they knew that they were oil women. I saw densely packed parasites crawling out of them and flying towards Night Feng. Even the other people in the 10 people at the root did not dare to approach, for fear of being affected by the insect tide. I felt like I was about to have a dense phobia, but fortunately Jioshinai fainted. Feng complained and directly sealed. Mu Dun, birth of the tree realm. Night Maple's chakra passed from his feet to the ground. Countless thick trees instantly grew on the ground, and these trees seemed to be uprooted, bursting the surrounding buildings in an instant. Bang. 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 With a loud bang, all the ninjas in those rooms jumped out. Horrified to find out, what's going on? How did it suddenly turn into a small forest with green trees? Little yellow Mao Shuiman was fighting with a masked shinobu, and suddenly under the feet of this masked shinobu, a thick branch appeared, directly stabbing the masked shinobu into the sky. Ugh! Shinobu covered his ass on the mask, like an angry bird flying through the air, and then slammed it heavily on the ground. The corner of Watergate's mouth twitched. Such a sudden charm made Shuiman's mind come up with Chimu Shuamao's trick, Millennium Kill. It's so ferocious. Seeing that the masks on the face were shattered, and the pants were also broken. It's miserable. Watergate saw the face under the mask and was stunned for a moment. Shigaraki-senpai. It turned out to be a Shigaraki Tanuki of the root organization. The Shigaraki Tanuki spewed out a large mouthful of blood, looked down, his face changed greatly, and immediately turned around and fled. The Watergate did not stop it, but looked inside the tree realm. He looked up at the dense woods. Night Feng, was it already so strong? Night maples all used the tree realm to be born. What the root organization is doing. At this time, there was a loud bang behind the Watergate. The golden chakra flame emitted from the whirlpool Mito, and it fell, and the concrete floor on which his feet stepped on cracked. Watergate. Old lady, Feng is inside. Uzumaki Mito watched the birth of the tree realm, slightly lost his concentration, and the appearance of 1,000 hand pillars appeared in his mind. You keep watch outside, I'll go in and take a look. At this moment, a huge King Kong Rui rod also smashed down, followed by a thin figure, and then fell. 3 generations of Hokage-sama. The ape flying sun fell and nodded at the Watergate, but was angrily scolded by the whirlpool Mito. Ape Fei, what are you doing, actually letting the gangsters do something wrong in the village? Sarutobi sighed and said, Old lady, put away the 9 tails first, let the students solve this matter, and give the students another chance, okay? As the 3rd generation of Hokage, the 3rd generation of Hokage did not call himself a student in front of Uzumaki Mito after taking office. Today, Ape Flying Sun Chopper really felt guilty for the cultivation of the 2 teachers. He, very angry. At the same time, the birth of the tree world appeared in the center of the village, attracting the attention of everyone in the village. The Uchiha family, who was still patrolling, was led by Uchiha Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku saw it from a distance, and suddenly a loud noise erupted in the middle of the village, filling the air. What's going on over there? Go. Uchiha Fugaku gave an order and walked quickly over with his clansmen. Hyuga family territory. Genius brothers Hinata Hayashi and Hinata both rolled their eyes, looking at the flowing chakra at the birthplace of the tree realm, very rich. What the hell is going on there? Go check it out. Not only the Uchiha clan and the Hinata clan, but also the eyes of other families, such as Inuga Butterfly, have all cast their eyes. Chapter 016 OU. So. In the tree world, there are thick roots everywhere, instantly squeezing the surrounding space. Click. Click. The surrounding houses collapsed one after another, the sound of explosions continued to sound, there was no complete brick and tile around, and smoke and dust were everywhere. For a moment, the audience was shocked. The eyes of the 10 people in the route were wide. A figure appeared in their minds, the original Hokage. The men who completely changed the terrain of the Valley of the End in one war. One of them, the mask of the Sharingan Eye Shinobu, the three-hooked jade in his eyes turned, and he clearly saw a trace of chakra that appeared on Feng's body, almost condensed into substance. Such a chakra quality, they can't even endure. The roots of the surrounding trees swayed, exuding terrifying coercion, and everyone trembled slightly. Feng felt the chakra in his body churning, which was completely different from a few days ago. Feng stood still, making everyone sweat coldly. Not only the people in the tree world, even the Hokage outside, but also the old lady Mito of the Whirlpool, Watergate, and others, all felt a heavy oppression. Sarutobi said in surprise, "This is the chakra of Night Feng." Uzumaki Mito was also shocked. In the past few days, Feng has been doing nothing all day, and his favorite thing is sleeping, and the old lady was already a little disappointed in Feng. But now, the old lady can understand. Feng is a genius. Geniuses are always proud, just like old men, who don't have a positive shape all day. Thinking of this, Uzumaki Mito sighed and said, "It's really a species of the Senju clan." Then, the old lady looked at the Watergate again and said, "Jioshinai is also inside." Watergate nodded sharply and said, "Yes." Feng pulled Jioshinai in. The old lady's eyes suddenly lit up. Feng and Jioshinai were two young people inside. This is a good time to cultivate feelings. So, the old lady stopped the 3 generations of Hokage and said, "Ape Fei, wait a minute, since Night Maple used the tree realm birth, there should be no danger." Ape Fei looked at the old lady speechlessly. "Just now you were so excited, and now you don't let me in." At this time, the head of Yamanaka Feng had a sense of foreboding in his heart. This young man's intelligence was wrong. It's not just ordinary Sharingan strength. Up. The wind in the mountain roared violently, and the ground under his feet suddenly cracked, pounced on Feng. At the same time, others moved. Shinobu on the mask of the Sharingan, bleeding from the corners of the eyes. Illusion, golden binding art. Illusion, golden binding art is an illusion that gives illusions to enemies through the Sharingan and restricts their movements, and enemies will be immersed in their own world and unable to move. However, such a level of illusion is not effective against Night Feng. It's actually invalid. It's not just Uchiha Kagami's chakra eye illusion. The mind control of the mountain stroke is also ineffective, and the parasites of the oil woman family can't get close at all. Countless tree roots, wooden vines, densely packed, wrapped and whipped towards the roots of the 10 people. Groove. These roots and wooden vines are constantly whipping, and they are constantly getting thicker and bigger, and the trees are green and vibrant. In such a vibrant environment, everyone felt great fear and cold sweat. Bang. 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 The 10 people at the root jumped back and forth between the vines of the roots, flashing and moving. Sometimes you have to cut down roots and vines that you can't avoid. Also use avatars and shadow avatars. However, countless terrifying roots and vines rose from the ground, and their space became more and more crowded, full of roots and vines. Even if it is a shadow avatar technique, it is impossible to use up one after another. After all, they are just ordinary ninjas, and there is no blood succession limit. Retreat. Yamanaka Feng saw that it was wrong, and quickly shouted to retreat. Feng's strength far exceeded their expectations. They had already speculated on Night Feng's strength to the maximum, but as a result, Night Feng's strength was still far beyond their imagination. When the 10 people of the root heard that Yamanaka Wind said this, they all turned their heads and fled. However, the speed of the root vine is faster, like a flying arrow, suddenly shooting. Swish. 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 Ugh. Ugh. A few screams, in just a few seconds, the roots of 10 people, one by one, like rice dumplings tied up. Countless huge tree roots blocked the retreat of the mountain wind from all directions. The mountain wind was instantly wrapped in rice dumplings. Bang. Avatar technique. 20 meters away, the figure of the mountain wind reappeared, breathed a sigh of relief, turned around, and his pupils shrank suddenly. When did Feng come to him? And his companions are already all tied. It's all around with night maples. It's all doppelgangers. Feng won with 1 against 10. Feng squinted at the masked mountain wind in front of him. You are the leader. Chapter 017. Feng gently pressed, countless roots and vines, instantly wrapped the mountain wind. This time, the mountain wind had nowhere to escape. Soon, the tree realm withered at a speed visible to the naked eye, leaving only the 10 rice dumplings in front of it. At this time, Jiu-Shin-nai, who was lying in Feng's arms, his long eyelashes trembled. Jiu-Shin-nai suddenly woke up from a nightmare. Looking up, Feng was right in front of him. Feng, are you all right? Jiu-Shin-nai touched and touched, her eyes were red, and she hugged Feng tightly. Just now in the Naruto technique, Jiu-Shin-nai watched Feng bled and fell to the ground. It was too terrifying. In Jiu-Shin-nai's mind, halfway from Vortex Hidden Village to Konoha Village, he saw the dirty Feng for the first time, entered the school together, graduated together, and then Feng came to save himself. The scene was vividly remembered. At this moment, Jiu-Shin-nai realized that he cared so much about Feng. Feng touched Jiu-Shin-nai's soft red hair and said softly, "Little silly girl." Jiu-Shin-nai nodded in Feng's arms and said, "I'm so stupid that I actually fell for illusion." Ahem. At this time, an untimely voice came from behind Feng. Jiu-Shin-nai looked up and quickly pushed Feng away. It's the old lady Mito of Uzumaki, and 3 generations of Hokage are coming. As for the water gate behind them, it was subconsciously ignored by Jiu-Shin-nai. Old lady Uzumaki Mito glared at the 3 generations of Hokage very dissatisfied. The young man finally romanticized, "What do you old men want to do?" The 3 generations of Hokage are also helpless, and if they don't make a sound, I'm afraid that all 10 people in the route will suffocate and be strangled. Just by looking at it, he recognized the Route 10. It's really a group collection. Are you crazy? At this time, Uchiha Fugaku also arrived with the Uchiha family. Sarutobi looked back at Uchiha Fugaku and said, "Fugaku, you guys are here just right, set up a cordon around to prevent idle people and others from entering here." Uchiha Fugaku glanced at Yokai and showed a surprised look. It's really night maples. The terrifying tree realm just now was made by Feng. After the Thousand Hands clan awakens the blood to follow the boundary, it is too strong. Uchiha Fugaku was just stunned for a moment, and quickly said, "Naruto-sama, then these people. As long as you don't let idle people enter, I'll take care of other things." "Yes, Naruto-sama." Uchiha Fugaku immediately arranged for his clansmen to raise a cordon nearby. Hinata, the people of the Yamanaka family, were all stopped outside and could not come in. Ape Flying Sun Chopper looked at Feng and said, "Feng, you let them go first. 3 generations of adults, do you know them?" Ape Fei sighed, and just as he was about to speak, there was a sound of footsteps behind him. Everyone looked back. Danzo, as well as 2 Hokage's top advisors, Mito Manita and Koharu, walked over quickly. "This is my people, Feng, put them down." Tuanzang glanced at the 10 people of the route who were tied to death, and was surprised, "Is Feng already so strong? I really made a big mistake this time." But Tuanzo sorted out his mood well. Feng didn't speak, and Jiu-Shin-nai's eyes widened and he looked at Tuanzang. What exactly is Konoha's top brass going to do? Why attack Night Maple Kuin? Tuan hides you. While Sarutobi was organizing his language, a golden chakra flame suddenly appeared on Mito's body. A claw formed by a 9-tailed chakra directly grabbed Tuanzang's neck and lifted it up. "Shimura Danzo, it was your people who attacked Feng. What exactly are your intentions?" Old Mrs. Uzumaki Mito's shoulders were shaking, and she was already extremely angry. The people of the Vortex tribe died in battle, which was an accident. The decline of the Thousand Hands is also an accident. Even the death of the rope tree was an accident. But now, Feng was openly attacked in Konoha, and it could no longer be covered up by accident. The old lady was out of anger. "You know, this is already the last pure blood of the Thousand Hands clan. Could it be that the high level of Konoha really wants the Senju clan to be exterminated? Shimura Danzo, you are the elite guard of the 2nd generation, How can you do such a thing? What the hell do you want to do? At this time, Tuanzang realized that he was making a big fuss this time. His eyes were wide, he grabbed his neck, and his feet were kicking in the air. I have been following the philosophy of the first and second generations, and everything I do is for Konoha, and I am absolutely selfless. Yi Feng's actions that night, there are too many doubts, I just want to invite him over. I didn't mean to do anything to him. It was an accident, an accident. Tuanzang grabbed his neck, almost unable to breathe. Caught by the nine-tailed chakra, he couldn't use any ninjutsu at all. Besides, Tuanzang has been pampered for so many years, and in the face of death, it has long been less ruthless than when he was young. Most importantly, he didn't expect that the old lady Mito, who hadn't made a move for almost 20 years, was still so strong. Is this the power of the nine tails? The old lady's sudden action also disrupted Mito Menyon and Koharu's plans to go to bed. If Yi Feng made a move, everything would be fine, and in turn, Yi Feng would be charged. It was said that Yi Feng's body was full of doubts. Originally he just wanted to ask Yi Feng to investigate, but now Yi Feng does not respect his elders and acts arbitrarily, so he should be caught. But the old lady is now making a move, what can they say? The method they used before, in front of the old lady, could not be used at all. The old lady's status in Konoha is the most respected. Seeing that Danzo was about to die, Mito Menyon and Koharu hurriedly said, "Old lady, can you put down the group first?" "Yes, Tuanzang is also for the village, I think there is some misunderstanding between them." Chapter 018 for the village. Or for your own selfish desires? Where does Yefeng make you feel that it has harmed the interests of the village? Uzumaki Mito's questioning left Mito Menyon and Koharu speechless. "Old lady, this may be some misunderstanding." "Yes," Tuanzang also said, "I just wanted to ask Yi Feng to ask for questions, but I didn't expect Yi Feng to resist so fiercely." Enough. Ape Fei Ri Chop picked up the King Kong Rui stick and smashed Tuanzang with a stick. Blood splattered, and a few teeth could be faintly seen flying out. Then, like a tattered burlap bag, it turned into a wonderful parabola in the air and smashed heavily on the ground, life and death unknown. Tuanzang is completely wrong this time, so you two don't defend him. Konoha has never had any rules that allow people from the root organization to openly arrest people on the street, and besides, no procedure has been undertaken. Sarutobi looked at Uzumaki Mito with a sad heart and said, "Old lady, this time is a serious dereliction of duty by the student. The students must give the old lady, give Yi Feng, and give everyone a clear look." Mito Menyon and Koharu suddenly felt a chill behind them when they saw the momentum that Sarutobi suddenly burst out. The old monkey was furious. The stick just now directly knocked out all the teeth of half of Tuanzang's face. Uzumaki Mito snorted coldly and put away the nine-tailed chakra. The stick that Ape Fei re-slashed just now, which seemed to seriously injure Tuanzang but actually saved Tuanzang's life. Yi Feng watched quietly on the side. The old lady's nine-tailed state was really too handsome. It's a female version of Naruto. If Jyoshi-Nai learns the nine-tailed state, heck, it's amazing. Uzumaki Mito ignored the ape-flying sun, looked at Yefeng lovingly and said, "Yefeng, what do you think?" It's naturally good that 3 generations of adults can find out clearly. Turning to sleep, Koharu looked at Yikide's appearance, and said very dissatisfied, "Then Yikide, you quickly let them go, they are all the elite of our Konoha." The elite of Konoha, attacking the inhabitants of Konoha. Xiaochun's face suddenly turned ugly. This young man was too disrespectful to himself. If it weren't for Uzumaki Mito here, I would have taken him away today. Mito Menyon's face suddenly changed, and he quickly walked in front of the masked ninja in the front, squatted down and put his hand on his neck. Dead. Mito's reaction made Koharu shocked and hurriedly walked up. "He's dead." Mito Menyon nodded with a gloomy face, glanced at Yikide, and quickly walked to the second masked ninja. Still dead. Ape Flying Sun Chopper was also silent. He also discovered that all 10 of the roots were dead. No life left. Yi Feng is too ruthless. Unexpectedly, all 10 people in the root were strangled. Just now, everyone's eyes were focused on Tuanzang and the old lady, and they actually ignored Yi Feng. Are they dead? Koharu and Mito Menyon's faces are very ugly. Among the 10 people of the root department, there are their elite shinobi of the Sleeping Clan and the Mito clan, all of whom are the nephews of the sleeping Koharu and Mito Menyon, with a great future, and one of the options for the future head of the family, and they died like this. Yefeng said lightly, "Oh, I didn't notice, I'm sorry ha. Yifeng, you are simply lawless, you dare to kill people in Konoha. I'm just fighting back in self-defense, they all dare to attack and kidnap me in broad daylight, what else can I do?" Then, Yefeng sighed again and said, "It's just an accident, it's just a misunderstanding." Koharu and Mito Menyon's face was very ugly, and the bruises were exposed. Just now, Koharu and Mito Menyon used misunderstandings and accidents as arguments, and now Yefeng sent the misunderstandings and accidents back to them. "Yifeng, pay attention to your words." Turning to sleep, Xiaochun pointed at Yifeng, out of anger, "You are simply daring, killing so many elite Shangnan. Come. Arrest him." As soon as the words fell, suddenly a thick tree root emerged from the ground and directly smashed Xiaochun into the air. Turning to sleep, Koharu's whole person flew out upside down, spraying blood from his mouth, streaked a parabola in the air, and smashed on Tuanzong. Ugh! Tuanzong screamed, and before he woke up, he fainted again. Is it really a bloody mouthful, our senior advisor of Konoha, such a quality? Yifeng didn't have any waves on his face, and he didn't take going to sleep Xiaochun seriously at all. Senior consultant. What is that thing? You. Mito Menyon's first reaction was anger, but the look in Shangye Feng's eyes just now was immediately provoked. The other party did not care about the identity of his senior advisor at all. If you want to shoot, you can shoot, there are no taboos. Simply presumptuous. Mito Menyon looked at Sarutobi Hinata with praise. Ape Flying Sun Chopper showed a wry smile, he really didn't expect that Yefeng would strike when he said it, and the thunder blow did not give people time to react at all. Yifeng, you did this too much. Uzumaki Mito snorted and said, I believe that he is self-preservation, after all, he has just awakened the blood succession limit, encountered an attack, used too much force, and killed the attacker with the wrong hand, isn't it normal? This time, whether it was Danzo or Koharu and Mizuto Menyon, they made her very dissatisfied. She wondered if it was a very wrong choice for the second generation to hand over Konoha's inheritance to them. On the other hand, Yifeng, she appreciated it very much. That's how it should be argued. As for the Route 10, that is to kill chickens and monkeys. Chapter 019. At this time, a sound of footsteps came. Uchiha Fugaku took the Uchiha guard and walked over again, and their eyes widened when they saw Danzo and Koharu, who had fallen to the ground beyond recognition. This is Elder Tuanzo and Advisor Koharu. Who beats them like this? Uchiha Fugaku looked at Sarutobi with a stunned expression. Fire, Naruto-sama, did you call us over? Ape Flying Sun was speechless. Did Xiaochun stay in a high position for too long, and his brain burned out? Call the Uchiha guard to come and see the miserable situation of his humiliation. It's okay, Fugaku, you guys go out and continue to maintain law and order around. Yes, Naruto-sama. Fugaku looked complicated, beckoned the guards to turn and leave. Before leaving, Fugaku took a deep look at Yifeng. The yellow hair on the head of the wave Feng Shui gate was fluttering in the wind, standing in place with a confused face. Yifeng actually dared to make a move against the senior consultant. These are the two big men after the Hokage. And that mysterious Danzo elder was also beaten by Naruto-sama. God, he'd never seen anything so crazy. Jiyoshi Nai was also very nervous and held Yifeng's arm. Yifeng's arm suddenly tightened, and he felt that his arm was wrapped in softness. Little Jiyoshi Nai's development is very good. Ape Fly. Mito Menyon looked at Sarutobi Richip again, and said unwillingly, anyway, Yefeng is full of doubts. This time he also killed us Konoha so many elite shinobi, he must go back with us to be investigated. This is originally the procedure that has been decided by the Ministry of Administration and the Route Department, but it is not made public. Now it's a battle of face. If Yoriki didn't go back with them to be investigated, then they would be laughed at by Konoha. If you can't arrest people, the two high-ranking people will be beaten instead. What will others think of them? However, Yefeng did not want to give this face. This advisor, let me be honest, now this group of them, in the heart of Konoha, without showing any documents, openly attacked me and Kuzina. What do you mean by doubting you now, targeting our own people in Konoha Village? Did you receive any benefits from Yunin's side? Did you really betray Konoha and become a spy for Yunin Village? Did I sabotage your profit transmission with Union Village, causing you to be angry and corrupt, and want to openly attack me in Konoha? As soon as Feng's words came out, everyone's faces changed. Night Maple. Feng, you talk nonsense. The nine-tailed chakra on Uzumaki Mito's body appeared again. The more I think about it, the more I feel wrong, Minion. I respect you as senior advisors. And an old lady of mine has been retired for a long time, and I don't want to bother with Konoha's internal affairs. This should be your business. But if you do something to betray Konoha, I can only destroy my relatives with righteousness. Mito Minion seemed to be facing the huge nine-tails, cold sweat, and quickly said, Old lady, you have thought too much, everything you do is completely for the village. Uzumaki Mito ignored Mito Minion, looked at Sarutobi and said, Sarutobi, I really have to check it out this time. Old lady, I will definitely find out what happened, and there will be no favoritism. Uzumaki Mito nodded and said, Okay, I still trust you. After speaking, Uzumaki Mito looked at Feng and Joshinai and said, Ikid, Joshinai, let's go. Sarutobi nodded and glanced at Mito Minion, warning him not to speak again. Speaking again, the face of Konoha's management is all gone. Today was originally Tuanzang, they were wrong first. I also want to bite Feng back. Yokai took Joshinai and followed Uzumaki Mito away. Walking around the corner, Feng suddenly turned around. By the way, 3 generations of adults, there is a person who is a member of Uchiha's clan, and he also opened the blood wheel eye. I heard that the people of the Uchiha clan are only in the guard. How can they be in the roots of the elder of Tuanzang? When Ape Fei Richo heard this, his face suddenly changed greatly. Feng's words were not for him, but for the Uchiha clan outside. This guy is afraid that the world will not be chaotic. The person who opens the Sharingan must be a genius of the Uchiha family, and will join the root. Moreover, why did Tuanzo absorb people from the Uchiha clan? What did he want to do? Ape Fei Chopper examined all the corpses on the ground, and there was really a corpse with chakra eyes, and his face suddenly became cold. And Mito Minion next to him was expressionless, and he wanted to kill Feng in his heart. This guy is so abominable, he caused such a big trouble for his side when he left. You wait, don't let me find your flaws. Just when Mito Minion was thinking about how to take revenge, he suddenly heard Sarutobi speak. Minion, you and Koharu have also worked hard in the past few years, and they have made a lot of contributions to Konoha, and they are also tired. I will give you a month off, take a good rest, and arrange the work at hand to the young people below. Also, Tuanzang, don't pretend to be dead, this matter has too much impact, the root is under investigation, and you can be ready to disband at any time. Chapter 020. On the way home, Feng Shuiman apologized and said, Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't expect it to be like this. Feng smiled and said, Watergate, it won't be you who deliberately led me out, right? Feng Shuiman's face changed, and he quickly waved his hand and said, There is no such thing at all. I think if you hadn't been called out, nothing like this would have happened. I don't blame you for this, it's something that will happen sooner or later. If you don't call me out, I'll come out too. Besides, it's a good thing to come out this time. The first is to let Feng clearly understand his current strength and what stage he is probably in. When it really fights, it should not be weaker than the shadow level, right? The worst is also quasi-shadow. Moreover, you can see Joshinai's small hands now, quietly being held by himself, and they are all used to nature. The system said that Joshinai's favorability rating is now above 90. There are many things that can be done to Joshinai. Uzumaki Mito, who was walking in front, was also full of joy. If she could match the two of Feng and Joshinai, it would be considered the end of her wish. Watergate, come to my house for lunch. No, old lady. Feng, let's talk again next time when you have time. After Feng Shuiman finished speaking, he directly used the teleportation technique to leave. He walked next to Feng and Joshinai, and he was really traumatized. Originally, Feng Shuiman had a good impression of Joshinai, but now Feng is one step faster, and he is holding hands with Joshinai, and Feng Shuiman said that he was very hurt. Still want to eat? Don't want to eat anymore. Ding, choose to start. Option 1, abandon Joshinai and invite Feng Shuiman to eat Ichiraku Ramen, reward, Ichiraku Ramen VIP recharge card *1. Option 2, let Feng Shuiman calm down by itself, people must always learn to grow. Reward, B-level ninjutsu, water done water array wall. Option 3, forcibly invite Feng to eat at home. The friendship boat will not turn too much. Reward, S-class sealing technique, Een seal. The Een seal is the usual accumulation of chakra, and unlocking the Een seal can release a large amount of chakra, so that forbidden arts and large-scale medical ninjutsu can be launched. This ninjutsu, created by Uzumaki Mito, Tsunade, and Haruno Sakura, can be said to be the precursor ninjutsu that created the art of regeneration and the art of the 100 heroes. Without this ninjutsu, the creation of the art of regeneration and the 100 heroes is unusable. For Feng, the effect of this Een seal is even greater. Originally, the chakra between the 1,000 hand pillars was super large, and with the Een seal, maybe one person could top the chakra of 100 people. Hey, Watergate. Wait a minute. After Feng finished speaking, he jumped and caught up with the Watergate. Huh. Before the Watergate could react, it was grabbed from behind by Feng. Come on, don't be shy, come to my house for dinner. That's not okay. What's bad? Ichiraku ramen can be eaten at any time, not worse this time. Feng did not speak to the Watergate, and directly pulled the Watergate to the Whirlpool courtyard. 1 hour later, in the Whirlpool courtyard, Ikide, Watergate, Jio-shinai and Uzumaki Mito sat in the dining room, ready to eat. Ding, forcibly invite Feng to eat at home. Congratulations to the host for completing option 3, rewarding S-level sealing technique, Een sealing. In Feng's mind, all the knowledge of the Een seal immediately appeared, and using the Een seal to store chakra, then a diamond-shaped mark would be formed on the forehead. Wait until you get back to your little house and study it carefully. If you learn the Een seal, and then learn to create the art of regeneration and 100 heroes, you will take another step towards the goal of an all-powerful ninja. Watergate, come and eat, you're welcome. Yes, Watergate, eat quickly. Uzumaki Mito felt that this child in Watergate was also a good boy, and he was polite, so he did not dare to eat first, so he quickly served dishes to Watergate. Watergate, eat. Thank you, old lady. What's polite? I'll come over more if I'm okay in the future. Jio-shinai saw that Feng did not pick up vegetables, and also sandwiched a piece of meat for Feng. Eat. Feng looked envious. It's nice to have a girlfriend. Speaking of which, Watergate is a ninjutsu genius, but emotionally he is a chick. The original sweetheart was on the opposite side to give Feng vegetables, Yunan my gnome. Watergate looked at the heart. Why do you want to come here to eat? Is the brain broken? This meal has just begun, and Feng has hurt the little heart of Feng again. Feng is painful. No, I also want to find a girlfriend. In the afternoon, Feng had already left, and he had agreed to fight Feng a week later. He also said very confidently that he was learning a powerful ninjutsu, and the day he practiced it, he would definitely surprise Feng. Awesome ninjutsu. Isn't it the Flying Thunder God technique? Feng felt that the Watergate was going to be pierced again. Flying Thunder God technique, he will also Chapter 021. When it was time to eat at night, there were no outsiders, and Uzumaki Mito said, Yokaide, don't take that risk next time, notify Grandma Mito as soon as possible, you know. With me, no one dares to bully you. Jio-shinai next to him also nodded sharply. Feng smiled and said, it's okay, old lady. Jio-shinai glared at Feng and said, call Grandma Mito. All right, Grandma Mito. Uzumaki Mito looked at Yokaide with a loving expression. Feng has always had a question. Have the Thousand Hands clan and the Vortex clan been exterminated in the end? Who is the Black Hand? Uzumaki Mito pondered and said, Feng, the other descendants of the Senju clan are not particularly prominent, and the entire family has not inherited the blood succession limit, so they all spread out and set up their own portals, and do not live together in the name of the Senju clan. Feng groaned and said, did the Thousand Hands clan fall like this? Uzumaki Mito's heart ached and he nodded. Recalling her grandson, the Thousand Hands rope tree, if he hadn't died, he would have been as big as the night maple in front of him. It's all fate. The Thousand Hands clan led by the pillars and the pillars to the peak. After the peak, there is an inevitable landslide. It happened that there was a war, and the Senju clan, as a race that had produced 2 generations of Hokage, should naturally fight on the front line. Konoha wins the war, while the Senju clan weakens. So the more the people of the Thousand Hands tribe died, even the rope tree was led out of the village. Now it seems that there is really a problem with the high-level people such as Danzo, Mito Menyon, and Koharu, who have inherited the will of Konoha Fire by the second generation. This topic was too heavy, and Uzumaki Mito smiled and said, actually, whether it is the Senju clan or the Uzumaki clan, there are still some clansmen who are already married. Young people, they all like new things, they don't like to live with an old man like me, and it's normal to go out and set up their own doors. Saying that, Uzumaki Mito looked at Joshinai and said, I don't know when we Joshinai will leave my old man. Grandma Mito, Joshina has been serving you all her life, and she will never leave. Uzumaki Mito smiled and said, nonsense, it will rain in the sky, and the woman will marry, this is the natural truth of heaven and earth, right, Ikid? Joshinai's face suddenly became a little hot. Grandma Mito is so bad. Yefeng smiled, looking at Joshinai's shy look, and couldn't help but tease, the old lady is right. That's a natural thing in heaven and earth. Uzumaki Mito nodded with satisfaction and said, yes, back then, when I was a girl, I went to the battlefield with my family's mission, met the old men, accidentally became a family, and later founded Konoha. So, Yi Feng, the ancient said that to start a family, you first start a family, and then you start a business. Uzumaki Mito pointed thoughtfully, looking at the night maple. If you can match Yefeng and Joshinai and have another child, no, give birth to 2 or 3 children, then the bloodline of the Thousand Hands clan and the Uzumaki clan can continue. Moreover, Yefeng is too lazy, too devoid of fighting spirit, and has no hard work. Young people are like this, as long as they start a family, they will naturally be sensible. Joshinai's face immediately turned red, delicate, and he didn't dare to look at Yifeng when he looked down. Uzumaki Mito smiled and said, eat, eat. There is no need to rush this matter, as long as the two have been together for a long time, it is naturally not a problem. From the next day, the atmosphere in Konoha Village became different from usual. There are a large number of masked ninjas appearing on the streets, not knowing what they are looking upon. Listening to Uzumaki Mito, these people are all dark parts, and the roots that attacked Night Maple before were different. It should be a matter of tracing the regiment and the roots. At this time, Yefeng was in the small courtyard of the Whirlpool, watching the Whirlpool Mito teach Joshinai various sealing techniques, all of which were the secrets of the Whirlpool family. Among them is the Eaten Seal. Ikid listened to the explanation of Uzumaki Mito next to him, just like the knowledge that the system empowerment put into his head, and even the knowledge of the empowerment was not detailed. After all, human answers are error-free. Joshinai tried for a day, and finally found a clue, and began to have a small dot on his forehead that was almost invisible. Uzumaki Mito said with satisfaction, very good, Kushina, you are really a ninjutsu genius, and Tsunade did not learn as fast as you back then. Joshinai looked at Yefeng happily, he can also help Yefeng in the future, instead of every time Yefeng comes to the rescue. However, Joshinai turned his head and was stunned. On Yifeng's forehead, a diamond-shaped mark appeared, which was clearly visible. This. Uzumaki Mito also exhaled softly, Ikid, when did you learn the Eaten Seal? Yifeng scratched his head and said, I also saw that you were demonstrating, and I felt something, so I used it. Genius, really genius. You have the blood succession boundary between the pillars, and you also have the talent for ninjutsu between the pillars. Joshinai was also looking at Yefeng sharply, and his eyes flashed. He is strong, but Yefeng is stronger. He really is a man who can make his dreams come true. Uzumaki Mito sighed and said, I originally thought that I wouldn't have to teach you the next sealing technique so quickly, but your learning speed is too fast, and next, I will teach you the secret technique of our Uzumaki clan, the 4-elephant seal. The 4-elephant seal, used when used to seal powerful enemies or demons, is a sealing technique that uses the cycle of the 4 elephants to seal off evil. Yifeng was embarrassed, the Eaten Seal was taught to him by the system, and now he had to learn the 4-elephant seal, wouldn't it be Dewey? The name of his own genius it has not been a day to wood. For this reason, Yefeng felt a little sadness. Ding, based on the situation the host is in now, give a choice. Choose one, study hard, go up every day, reward, A-level sealing technique, 4 elephant seals. Option 2, go home and sleep, be a salted fish, reward, A-level ninjutsu, the art of distant glasses. Option 3, refuse the teachings of Uzumaki Mito, be a student next to you, and reward, A-level ceiling, 4-elephant ceiling, S-level advanced ceiling, ghoul ceiling. Chapter 022 Grandma Mito, you can teach Jyoshinai, I'll rest for a while. Saying that, Feng jumped onto the tree next to him. Uzumaki Mito said very ironcladly, Ikide, you can't be so proud and complacent. There will be no one who will not learn. Well, Grandma Mito, I'll just watch from the side. Jyoshina snorted and said, okay, Grandma Mito, I don't believe it, he can learn it just by looking at it. Uzumaki Mito glanced at Ikide, and also felt that he should give Ikide a little blow. People who are proud and complacent have no future. What's more, Jyoshinai's talent is also not low. Just let Jyoshinai knock on the night maple for a while. Thinking of this, Uzumaki Mito also ignored Yokaide, turned his head and began to teach Jyoshinai. Feng looked at the A-level ceiling technique rewarded by the System 4 Elephant Seal, and the S-level advanced ceiling technique Ghoul Ceiling, and his heart was happy. During the Naka Ninja exam, the 3 generations of Hokage Ape Hibiki used ghouls to seal Orochimaru's hands. During the Nine Tails Rebellion, Bofeng Shui men used ghouls to seal half of the Nine Tails chakra. Now that I have learned the 4 Elephant Seal and the Ghoul Seal, and the fusion degree of the character card between the 1,000 hand pillars is 100%, can I seal a 9-tailed play? Open the Properties panel. Name, Feng. Strength, Quasi-Shadow. Position, Shinobu. Character card, SSS level Senju Pillar, fusion degree 25.01%. Blood succession boundary, God level Muduin, character card comes with it. Ninjutsu, Flying Thunder God Art LV3, Dirt Rebirth LV3, Thunder Thousand Birds LV3, Omorioka LV3, Een Seal LV1, 4 Elephant Seal LV1, Ghoul Seal LV1. Feng saw that the fusion degree had increased to 25%, and now his strength had finally reached the quasi-shadow level. The previous strength should also be at the level of Konoha's 3 shinobi, but the strength still shows the elite shinobi. Recall that the division of strength in Hokage is indeed very mysterious. Konoha Saninja is an elite upper shinobi, and Konoha Maru is also an elite upper shinobi when he grows up. Do you dare to believe it? In this way, Feng quietly watched Uzumaki Mito teach Jyoshinai, staying in the Uzumaki small courtyardly, closed doors. Uzumaki Mito also said that in the past few days, Konoha is not very peaceful, so let Feng not go out. However, a few days passed, and Feng did not go out, but someone came again. Old lady, someone outside is looking for Jyoshinai. Jyoshinai was stunned for a moment and asked, who? It's Uchiha Mikoto of the Uchiha family. Uzumaki Mito smiled and said, it's Mikoto, bring her in. Jyoshinai, take a break, the 4 elephant seal is a little more difficult, don't worry. Jyoshinai wiped the fragrant sweat on his forehead and nodded. My wife will not participate in your young people's parties. With that, Uzumaki Mito left. After a while, Mikoto Uchiha came in. When the girlfriends met, they naturally hugged and played for a while with joy. Then Mikoto Uchiha looked around curiously. What about Night Maple? I heard that he came in and lived. Kushina looked above Uchiha Mikoto and said, right behind you. Back. Mikoto Uchiha turned her head and saw a tree, looked up. What are you doing up there? Feng smiled and said, rest. Weird. Uchiha Mikoto snorted, ignored Yokaide, pulled Jyoshina aside, and whispered to Jyoshinai again. Feng's ears moved, and he naturally heard it. The strength of the quasi-shadow level, it's not that he wants to eavesdrop, it's that the 2 girls' voices are a little loud. Hey, Jyoshinai, I heard that you are going to marry Feng, right? This. Something yet? Not yet, gee, that's fast. When will you give out candy? Jyoshinai secretly looked at the night maple on the tree and said shyly, what are you talking nonsense? Then, Jyoshina also secretly said to Uchiha Mikoto, he's cold. But really handsome. Don't you see that day he used the tree realm birth and directly destroyed all those Sharingan who attacked us. Hee, Jyoshinai, I heard that you fainted at that time, how do you know, did you pretend to faint? Jyoshinai suddenly blushed, no, I fainted at that time, and soon woke up, and I didn't faint. Feng snickered, his quasi-shadow level strength would not be mistaken. At that time, Joshinai was hit by illusion, fainted in his arms, and never woke up from the beginning of the battle to the end of the battle. Bragging with girlfriends right now. Sure enough, bragging is a common feature of human beings. The two chatted for a while, and Mikoto Uchiha said, "Joshinai, you know what? The results of the investigation of the regimental collection and the routes have already come out. Hokage has already ordered, the route is disbanded, the regiment is removed, and the two senior advisors are also on vacation." Chapter 023. Feng's ears moved slightly, but he didn't expect that Ape Flying Sun Chopping was really a heavy hand this time, and directly disbanded the route organization. And Mito Menyon and Koharu were forced to rest. I really didn't expect that the three generations also have such courage. But think about it, the current three generations are only 50 years old, not that the anime was almost 70 years old at that time. Unexpectedly, Tuanzang wanted to him, but he removed himself. Knight Feng knew very well that Tuanzang was only temporarily silent this time. This Konoha darkness will not be easily collapsed just like that. Joshinai was very surprised, really. Uchiha Mikoto whispered in Kushina's ear, "These are all things that Fugaku said." Jioshina said with a grin, "Mikoto, are you with brother Fugaku?" "My parents think so, but I'm still young, and I got married without being in love." "Joshinai, you're fine." Saying that, Uchiha Mikoto sighed. Jioshina immediately took Mikoto's hand and said, "Mikoto, if you don't like it, you can't force yourself to do something you don't like." "Joshinai, how can there be such a simple thing? Fugaku, he is ready to be the next head of the family." "Don't say that, tomorrow is my birthday, can you come?" Jioshina nodded sharply and said, "Mikoto, your birthday party, of course I will come." "Right, Night Maple." Ding, based on the situation the host is in now, give a choice. Option 1, refuse Mikoto's invitation, sleep at home, be a salted fish, reward, intimate paradise, first return limited. Option 2, accept Mikoto's invitation to participate in Mikoto's birthday party with Kushina, reward, forbidden technique, harem technique. System, you have to do things. Harem art. Are you hinting at something? It's a bit hard to choose. After a while, Joshinai took Ikide's arm and said, "Mikoto, we will definitely arrive on time tomorrow." In the end, Yefeng still chose ninjutsu. How could Yifeng accept something as rotten as heaven of intimacy heaven? At most, let's discuss it with Jiraiya. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the forbidden technique harem technique. Harem art. The combination ninjutsu of multiple shadow avatars plus seduction. This is Naruto's famous skill. With all the knowledge of the harem art instilled in Yifeng's mind, Yifeng immediately knew all the knowledge points of the harem art. Learning the art of harem is equivalent to learning A-level ninjutsu multiple shadow avatar art and C-level ninjutsu seduction. It is equivalent to a packaged ninjutsu combination. The realism of the harem art requires the caster to imagine it realistically. For the caster to imagine realistically, he must use more materials. As the tale of the 10,000-year crane, Naruto, who kissed Sasuke at the beginning, was able to defeat multiple enemies with harem techniques, and even Kaguya was hit, it must be a lot of material. So it can be seen that the young Naruto is also an old driver. Then now that this harem technique has reached his own hands, won't it be passed down by himself? I didn't mean to ask for such a strange spell. Not long after Uchiha Mikoto left, Kushina pulled Yokai to tell Uzumaki Mito about going to Uchiha Mikoto's birthday party tomorrow. In fact, Yefeng had already thought that something was wrong. It was Joshinai, a simple violent girl, who had not yet figured out what the situation was, and stupidly agreed. Uchiha's people, invite people from the Uzumaki family to Uchiha's house. Then Yokai, who was considered the last heir of the Senju clan, also followed to Uchiha's house. In the eyes of the other families in Konoha Village, this is a big thing worth considering. Does it reveal anything? It may make the heads of various families want to burst their heads. The Senju clan want to unite the Uchiha clan. Everyone remembers the magnificent era when Konoha Village was founded. Senjukuma and Uchiha Madara, a pair of legendary characters. Uzumaki Mito sighed when he heard Kushina say that he was going to Uchiha's house to attend Uchiha Mikoto's birthday party, and actually nodded. Go, Yifeng, you also go over. Joshinai she is alone, I don't worry. Yes, Grandma Mito. Yikide was surprised. Uzumaki Mito actually agreed, and didn't say anything. In fact, Uzumaki Mito had already thought of a lot in the moment just now. At that time, the Senju clan was to avoid suspicion, not only had a bad relationship with the Uchiha family, but also deliberately let many ordinary clansmen set up their own doors and spread out. As a result, the bloodline of the Thousand Hands clan is still becoming scarcer day by day. The war, as well as the conspiracy, caused the last male members of the Senju family to die. After this rude attack on Night Maple again, Uzumaki Mito had already figured it out. The other families in Konoha Village are afraid of the Uchiha family, aren't they afraid of the Senju family? Uchiha is certainly terrifying, but defeating Uchiha Madara is even more terrifying. It is useless to take the initiative to back down, but to be dealt with more severely. It is better to unite with the Uchiha clan and regain the authority of the Hokage. Uzumaki Mito's observation these days knows that Feng has this strength, and it is easy to solve the root of 10 people alone. Even if it is not as good as the Ape Flying Sun, it is also a top 10 existence in Konoha's strength. And Joshinai also has the ability to be a virtuous helper. Therefore, Uzumaki Mito left only one sentence in the end: go early and return early. Chapter 024. Feng had just walked out with Joshinai, and was pulled away by Joshinai. What for? Go out and buy a gift for Mikoto. We can't go to Uchiha's house empty-handed tomorrow, right? As soon as Feng heard that he wanted to accompany Joshinai to go shopping, he felt uncomfortable. What annoys men the most? Shopping, of course. But Joshinai is very happy. Haven't been out for days. Just now, Mikoto said that those bad guys at the top, the removal of the dismissal, the rest of the rest, are no longer afraid. She also asked Grandma Mito, who also said it was no problem. Therefore, whether Feng was satisfied or not, Joshinai pulled Feng out. Feng and Joshinai were walking on the street when they happened to run into a group of people. The person headed by this team of centaurs is Tuanzang. The two people next to him turned out to be Mushuamao, the White Fang banner of Konoha, and the Wave Feng Shui gate. Tuanzang also saw Feng, glanced at it, and then took his gaze back, without any expression on his face. Seeing that they were about to walk by, Feng hurriedly pulled the Wave Feng Shui gate. Hey, what's going on? Wufeng Shuiman gave Feng a blank look. Confidential tasks, I can't tell you. Really, don't say. Can't say. Naruto-sama is watching. Feng looked around. Although he didn't see the crow this time, he did feel that someone was snooping. This old man who likes to peek. Feng still let go of the Watergate and let him go. When Watergate came back, Chimu Shuamao said, Watergate, you are very familiar with him. The same one. He's strong. Watergate nodded sharply. Yes, I was going to find him again this week to single out and decide the winner again, but I didn't expect the task to come. You are no match for him. Watergate said helplessly, Senior Shuamao, don't you hit me like this, okay? White Fang Shuamao shook his head and said, it's not to hit you, I think his strength may be stronger than mine. Watergate's eyes widened in disbelief. Joshinai asked curiously, where are they going? That guy from Watergate refuses to say, so mysterious. How about we follow along? Joshinai refused. What's so beautiful? Let's go, we still have to order cakes and buy gifts. Well, I don't want to go shopping. Feng's objection was invalid, and Jioshina took Iki to several cake shops throughout Konoha Village, and finally ordered the cake. The monetary unit in the Naruto world is 2, and although there are banknotes and coins, they are all calculated using the unit 2. The task remuneration is set to range from 5,000 taels to 50,000 taels for D-level tasks, 30,000 taels for C-level tasks and 100,000 taels, 80,000 taels to 200,000 taels for B-level tasks, and 150,000 taels to 1 million taels for A-level tasks. S-level tasks pay more than 1 million taels at a time. 1 tael equals 10 round. A pork chop rice set is about 800 yen for an ordinary meal, and it costs more than 1,000 yen for a little more ingredients. A roadside fashion magazine also costs almost 600 yuan. Odin 3 pieces sell for 500 yen. And Joshinai bought this cake this time and spent 10,000 yuan, that is, 1,000 taels. Then I bought another pair of earrings and spent 38,888 rounds. A total of nearly 50,000 yuan, that is, 5,000 taels, is the starting price of D-level tasks. This is a little rich woman. You must know that Feng now only has 1,000 taels in his pocket. This is not long ago. The salary issued by the Ministry of Finance, each subordinate, a basic salary of 1,000 taels a month. If the money is not enough, you can only go to the task. As the saying goes, a penny stumps a hero. This is the case. In order to make money for clam rice, the mist hidden ghost people, and the ninja knife 7, Momochi has to do things for Cassie if he doesn't cut it. Fortunately, Feng lived in vain in the Uzumaki house, otherwise, he might have to go on a mission. At noon the next day, Uchiha's territory was also the headquarters of the Konoha Guard. The Uchiha clan, one of Konoha's two famous blood successors, has been serving as the leader of Konoha's guard since the founding of the village. In the past, the Thousand Hands clan was also among them, and it was the three major blood successors. But 20 years have passed, the clansmen of the Senju clan, those who died in battle, and the only self-supporting portal left is Tsunadeheim. Over the years, with the almost extinction of the Senju clan and the lurking of the Hinata clan, the Uchiha clan naturally claimed to be the #1 clan in Konoha. The current Uchiha clan, flowers and brocade, fire and oil, most of the clansmen feel like they are high, and they do not easily interact with people from other families. Of course, today they would not have the slightest contempt for Feng. Feng was born as the last heir of the Thousand Hands clan. It's just that in less than a week, he destroyed the conspiracy of Yunin Village, and also removed the high-ranking officials of Shimura Danzo, Mito Menyon, and Xiaochun, but the limelight is flourishing, and there is no other thing. It can be said that Feng's status can be comparable to the current head of the Uchiha family, Uchiha Shuna. In terms of strength, Feng awakened the blood succession limit of the Thousand Hands family, and defeated the 10 people of the root with one person, which was stronger than anyone in the Uchiha clan. So, today, the young generation of talents of the Uchiha family, Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Mikoto are all waiting at the door for the arrival of Yokaide. Feng and Jiyoshinai also took the cake and gifts on time, came to Uchiha's house, saw Uchiha Mikoto at the door, and immediately hurried up to greet them. Mikoto, happy birthday. This is the birthday cake that Yokaide and I prepared, and a birthday present. There wasn't enough time, so it wasn't done well. Jiyoshinai, thank you, I'm very happy to be here. Good-looking cake. What beautiful earrings. Uchiha Mikoto took it out directly and put it on, and said, Jiyoshinai, does it look good? Jiyoshinai asked Feng, is it good-looking? I'll go, it's a sending proposition. I'm blind and don't know if it's pretty or not. Uchiha Mikoto and Kushina immediately snorted. Ding, Jiyoshinai has a good feeling value of +5. Ding, Mikoto Uchiha has a good feeling value of +10. System, you are trying to do something. I didn't say anything. Why did Uchiha Mikoto's favorability value rub +10 again? Chapter 025 Yokaide and Kushina attended Uchiha Mikoto's birthday banquet, and all the big families in Konoha knew about it for the first time. What do the Uchiha clans want to do? What do the Senju clan and the Whirlpool clan think? All the families are watching, speculating, and interpreting today's events, this information. This glass of wine, I will drink it first. Thank you too for coming to the little girl's birthday party. The person who raised the glass was none other than Mikoto Uchiha's father and one of the high-ranking members of the Uchiha clan. The graceful and luxurious woman next to her is Mikoto Uchiha's mother. Everyone raised their glasses at the same time, echoed a sentence, and drank all the wine in the glass. In addition to Uchiha Mikoto and her parents, as well as Yokaide and Kushina, there is Uchiha Fugaku, a young talent of the Uchiha family. It seems that the Uchiha clan also wants to match Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Mikoto. Uchiha Fugaku, young and already a captain of the guard, will inherit the position of head of the family in the near future. Mikoto Uchiha's parents soon left. Night Maple also managed to Amway the big talk dice, ending the boring drinking session in the Hokage world. Soon, everyone was hooked. Dice must have the skill and courage to lie, but also have a clear vision, and a variety of strategies. Kaminobi like Uchiha Fugaku, who has been out of society for many years, thinks that big talk is too fun. Stimulate. 6-6 Fly. 12 SIXS. Chop you. The atmosphere gradually warmed up, and he blushed. Uchiha Fugaku also chatted with Feng without saying a word. Ikide-kun, you said that day that among the 10 people in the roots, there are people from the Uchiha clan. Yefeng nodded and said, yes, I saw the Sharingan, what's wrong? Uchiha Fugaku said softly, fortunately, it was Ikide-kun who told us the truth, otherwise we might still be in the dark now. Huh. It's not a secret, in our Uchiha clan, no one has joined the roots, even if it is the dark department, there are only 1 or 2 people, and there are records in our clan. When Yefeng heard Uchiha Fugaku's words, he suddenly became a little curious. You mean? Uchiha Fugaku looked at Yefeng and said, that is to say, that person is not from our Uchiha clan. It's fun. Uchiha Fugaku nodded, and it was his turn to call, 12-3. Uchiha Mikoto suddenly smiled and said, split. Counter-split. Open 5 threes, Uchiha Fugaku himself 5, everyone else is big talk. Uchiha Fugaku smiled and didn't care. After drinking, while shaking the dice, he said, yes, it's fun this time, our patriarch has gone to negotiate with the 3 generations of Hokage. I heard that it is a monster made from the blood of our Uchiha clan. I heard that it is the only surviving experimental subject, which has been hidden in the root. If it weren't for the discovery of Night Maple June this time, we wouldn't have known. It's a blasphemy against our Uchiha family. Thank you Ikide-kun for eradicating this evil experimental subject for our Uchiha clan. Yi Feng's eyes widened, it turned out that there was something he didn't know. Clones of the Uchiha clan. Hokage immediately remembered Yamato, who was the experimental subject of the first generation of cells. Then, the Sharingan that he killed should not be the experimental subject of Uchiha Spot. Sure enough, there are still many deep things in the Naruto anime that are not directly expressed. Although I know the general historical trend, I still don't know many secrets. For example, this Uchiha experimental subject, if it weren't for Yefeng killing him, might be buried in history and never emerge. Now Uchiha Fugaku thanks himself, which is also to express the goodwill of the Uchiha family. Don't look at the current appearance of the Uchiha family, I am afraid that the family head knows very well that after the peak, it will inevitably decline. If he could win an ally like Feng, it would be great. After 3 rounds of drinking, Uchiha Fugaku said more. I don't know if Uchiha Fugaku was fake drunk or really drunk, and even told the secret about the final disposal of Root and Danzo. That Uchiha experimental body was secretly created by Tuanzong with the funds of the Great Snake Pill, and now all the experiments of the Great Snake Pill have stopped. In addition, Tuanzong did such a thing that people and gods are angry about. This time he will go to Union Village as an undercover agent, make up for the merit, and if he has not made great achievements, he will not come back. With a smile on Uchiha Fugaku's face, he fell directly as he spoke. Feng saw that he was really drunk, no wonder he said everything, these should be confidential. Come, drink. Joshinai blushed and was particularly good-looking. Uchiha Mikoto also hugged Hokage's thigh, drink. Drink your size. Chapter 026 Feng was crying and laughing, and quickly pulled the 2 apart. Drink. Joshinai was still holding her cup, and Yefeng directly took her cup. What the hell, I want to drink. Stop drinking, go home. Hokage directly picked up Kushina, took 2 steps, turned around and kicked Uchiha Fugaku, who was drunk and wanted to pounce on Uchiha Mikoto, away. Still want to get drunk and do something. Yefeng glanced at the half-awake and half-drunk Uchiha Mikoto, shook his head helplessly, and pulled away together. Leaving behind Uchiha Fugaku, who was holding the air on the ground. Just walked out and happened to run into Mikoto Uchiha's father. So Mikoto handed over safely. Then, Yefeng hugged Jioshina and left the territory of the Uchiha clan. Under the moonlight, Joshinai said in a daze. Night Maple, 5-6. Yefeng suddenly rolled his eyes, as if he saw the birth of another gambling monster. In Konoha, another gambling monster is, of course, the famous Tsunade. Hey, Jiraiya, do you want to go to the hot spring? At this time, a hearty woman's voice came from ahead. Feng followed the voice and was stunned. Isn't this Tsunade? The white-haired man next to him, Jiraiya. Although Yorikide had never seen Tsunade and Jiraiya, he recognized them at a glance. The main thing is that the white hair of Jiraiya is more conspicuous. Zilai also said with a righteous look, no need, let's go to the teacher's side to report first, don't grind. I really don't want to soak in the hot spring, you can relieve fatigue, I heard that this place is very popular with girls, and it has been changed to mixed baths. As soon as Jiraiya heard about the mixed bath, he immediately walked towards the hot spring. Oh, people need to relax occasionally, go for a hot spring. Haha, you didn't say that just now. Tsunade smiled wickedly and turned his head to see that he was facing Yokui's eyes. This is Gyoshinai. So late, Gyoshinai seems to be drunk. This man actually took the opportunity to get oil. It's just looking for death. You bastard, you dare to do such a thing to Gyoshinai, looking for death. Tsunade's whole body erupted with golden chakra and rushed towards Yokui. Ha! Yokui was a little confused. What did Tsunade want to do? Muduinmu ingot wall. Before Tsunade's fist smashed, a row of wooden pillars bent from the ground to form arches, blocking Yokui's face. Bang. A bang. The ground trembled. Tsunade's fist burst out with the light of chakra, which had already pierced the wall of the wooden ingot. In the Hokage office, Sarutobi Hinata was waiting for Tsunade and Jiraiya to come back and report, but when he heard this loud noise, he suddenly stood up. What happened again? Konoha has really not been peaceful lately. Ape Flying Sun Chopper quickly took the cloak, jumped out of the window, and sped across the roof, speeding in the direction of the loud noise. And Jiraiya, who was the place of the incident, had just walked into the pond and was startled by the sudden loud noise, and looked back. What about Tsunade? Jiraiya rushed out, only to see Tsunade fighting with a young man. Countless thick roots emerged from the young man's side, blocking Tsunade's attack. Shadow doppelganger? Because there was also a young man in the back who was still holding a red-haired girl. That's Gyoshinai. Mu Duan. For the first time, he already knew that this young man was Feng, who was in the limelight these days. Ku-Wu, shuriken shot indiscriminately. Boom. It even shot at Jiraiya. I also heard Tsunade scolding, "Little one, don't let go of Gyoshinai yet. We Senju clan have never had a guy as Jiraiya, but you have set a precedent. Lying Groove, why are you pulling me up?" Jiraiya was injured. However, when Jiraiya heard Yokui using various ninjutsu to resist Tsunade's attack, and holding Gyoshinai, he still had the strength to refute Tsunade. Hey, you gambling monster, mean to talk about me. If you still do it, don't blame me for being unkind. Oh, little one, it seems that you didn't understand. Come on, let me see how you are not polite. As soon as the words fell, Tsunade punched the shadow doppelganger, and instantly came to Feng's face. However, countless vine-like saplings wrapped around Tsunade's feet, then wrapped around Tsunade's whole body, growing into a large tree, completely crushing Tsunade under the tree. Mu Dun, tree binding eternal burial. Tsunade's eyes widened as well. Bang. The same as a stand-in. Tsunade's figure suddenly appeared behind Yokui. Not bad. However, before Tsunade could kick a kick, Yokui's figure disappeared again, and then appeared next to Jiraiya. What a fast instantaneous technique. Jiraiya's eyes widened. Flying Thunder God technique. Did the teacher teach him? Tsunade also showed a look of surprise. This young man is a little fierce. There is the wooden dun of the first grandfather, and there is the instantaneous technique of the second generation of the second grandfather. And Feng didn't make another move because someone came. He looked up at the sky, and a golden light shot down. Bang. A Vajra Rui stick was inserted into the ground, and a person fell from the air. 3 generations of Hokage, Ape Flying Sun / came. Teacher. 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 Suddenly, a person walked out of the shadows, the big snake pill. 3 generations of Hokage, Konoha Sanshin, gathered in front of the hot spring pond hall. Chapter 027. Such a person. Feng broke the silence. Sarutobi said coldly, "Jiraiya, Tsunade, what are you doing here?" Tsunade's eyes moved, and he pointed at Feng and said, "Teacher, this shameless fellow, actually took advantage of the opportunity to get oil when Gyoshinai was drunk. Fortunately, I found it in time, otherwise, Gyoshinai would have been miserable." Feng was suddenly speechless, and the thick root vine appeared from the ground again, and Tsunade spoke out again and tied it directly. Ape Fei Richo looked at Feng and said, "Feng, what the hell is going on? Gyoshinai is drunk. If I don't help her go back, will I drag her back?" Tsunade, did you ask about the situation? Tsunade immediately shrugged and said, do you need to ask about the situation? Seeing is believing, isn't that it? Ding, according to the environment of the host, give 3 choices. Option 1, choose to forgive Tsunade, accept Tsunade's criticism, reward, a worn shuriken. Option 2, choose to forgive Tsunade, indicating that you let go of defense, reward, sea-level ninjutsu, fire escape phoenix flower technique. Option 3, choose mad Tsunade, educate Tsunade well, and obtain, S-level ninjutsu, 100 hero technique. Originally, Feng couldn't help but scare people. Now the system is even more scaring choices, and the timing is too well controlled. Feng pouted, it's really brainless. Tsunade's eyes widened and he looked at Yokaide. Others were also very surprised. What did you say? Tsunade really didn't expect Yokaide to dare to scold her. Don't you have enough brain capacity? I say you have a big chest and no brain. Seeing is believing. If I don't hold her, will I drag her to the ground and drag her back? Do you have problems with your eyes, or do you have problems with your brain? If you have a low IQ, you will be less weird, you know. Well-developed limbs and simple mind. Feng came down in such a series, and everyone was stunned. Tsunade immediately exploded. You look for death. Just as Tsunade burst out, Feng's figure flashed, but it flashed 100 meters away. The flying thunder god mark had long been set there, and it teleported there at once. This time it was the turn of Orochimaru and Sarutobi/'s eyes widened. This is the flying thunder god technique. Zilai also said strangely, teacher, didn't you teach him? Ape Flying Sun shook his head. The big snake pill's eyes flashed and said, if it weren't for the teacher you taught him, this person would be very suspicious. Ape Flying Sun snorted and said, big snake pill, put away your thoughts, there is something suspicious about the flying thunder god technique. It certainly couldn't have been taught to him by people from other villages. You don't put your mind on him, there is no point, take a few days of rest, you will also go out on a mission. Orochimaru yawned and said, got it, sensei. However, the big snake pill thought to himself, how can the task be as interesting as Feng? There will definitely be a chance. Iki put down Jioshinai. Huh. A voice suddenly sounded behind Feng, and Feng's back was cold, and his hair stood up. Zilai also exclaimed, be careful. I saw that the Een seal on Tsunade's forehead was unsealed, and streaks appeared on his face, and the stripes were staggered on his forehead, passing vertically through his eyes, and meeting his chin all the time. The art of 100 heroes. Unlocking all the chakras of the Een seal, the whole body erupted with golden chakra light. Being frenzied by Ikide, Tsunade was really angry. Suddenly appeared behind Feng and Jioshinai, and grabbed Feng's head with one hand. Syllable. Feng's head split open. This guy is too weak. When Tsunade was about to close. However, the next second, he realized that he was only holding a piece of wood. And the Jioshinai under his feet also slammed and turned into a piece of wood. Feng appeared 10 meters away holding Jioshinai, and under Tsunade's feet, a thick wooden dragon soared into the sky. Ape Fei re-sighed and said, wood dragon art, I haven't seen it for a long time, I didn't expect to see it here. He was very impressed with the wood dragon art. This huge wooden dragon, which was used in the first generation when the Nine Tails was in turmoil, was bound by the big tree to the body very strongly, and even made the bound Nine Tails scream, and once entangled, it would be absorbed chakra. The first generation used this move to suppress the actions of the Nine Tails. This move seems to have given a strong impression to the Ape Flying Sun. Of course, now this wooden dragon is much smaller. Find death. Tsunade smashed a punch on the wooden dragon, but was surprised to find that his chakra was actually absorbed by the wooden dragon. With that, wood dragon tied Tsunade up. Something like this can trap me. Tsunade bursts out more chakras very confidently. The art of the wooden dragon, but Tsunade's grandfather, the famous stunt between the 1,000-hand pillars. Tsunade naturally knew very well that the easiest way to break the wood dragon art was to use chakra to burst the opponent. If you want to suck me chakra, I'll let you suck enough. Chapter 028. Sarutobi also knew for the first time what Tsunade was going to do. He didn't plan to stop Tsunade either. As Hokage, it was not appropriate to strike, but Tsunade was suitable. Besides, Tsunade is also the granddaughter of Uzumaki Mito. It really hurt Yokaide, and Uzumaki Mito couldn't blame himself. Mainly recently, Feng, this young man, is a little swollen. It was remarkable to think that he had awakened the blood succession limit of the Thousand Hands clan. He even killed 10 people from the roots, causing him to destroy his relatives and send Tuanzong away. It's time for Yefeng to know what is outside the sky, and there are people outside the people. However, when Tsunade began to erupt chakra, Yokaide's eyes lit up, and he felt that a huge amount of chakra, through the wooden dragon, was transmitted to the ground, and then rushed back into his body. Finally, chakra passed through his feet and rushed straight to the Yin seal of the heavenly gate. Is this charging me? Yifeng's forehead, the imprint of the Yin seal also shone brightly. It was just covered by Konoha's forehead and no one found out. Tsunade was still full of confidence, but gradually, her face changed. The Yin seal chakra that he has stored for more than 2 years has already consumed more than half, and this guy still hasn't changed his face. Is something wrong? Ape Fei Ri Chopper's face also changed slightly, and quickly said loudly, Yifeng, don't hold it hard, it's not good if you hurt. Yefeng smiled and said, 3 generations of adults don't worry, I didn't hold it hard, today I just want to see, what confidence do you have, if you don't understand the situation, you dare to make a move casually, even if Grandma Mito comes over today, I will educate you well. Jiyoshi Nai heard Yifeng speak, his long eyelashes moved, opened his eyes slightly, saw several figures, rubbed his eyes, took a closer look, and exclaimed. Ah, 3 generations of adults. This is Tsunade's sister. Jiyoshi blew a cold wind, the wine woke up, and when he saw that Yokaide and Tsunade were fighting, he was immediately so anxious that tears were about to come out. Yifeng, what the hell is going on? Tsunade snorted and said, Jiyoshi, just wake up, this guy just took advantage of your drunkenness and wanted to pump you oil. Jiyoshi immediately shook his head and said, Sister Tsunade, you must be mistaken, Yefeng he will definitely not do this. When Tsunade heard this, he wanted to vomit blood. Chick, don't you turn your arms out like this, okay? Yefeng smiled and said, did you hear that, Tsunade, you see it as believing. I see you're blind. Jiyoshi immediately glared at Yefeng in dissatisfaction and said, Yefeng, how are you talking to Tsunade's sister? She didn't say anything just now, she directly wanted to get me, and said what should I do to you, it doesn't matter if I ruin my reputation, what should I do to ruin your reputation? This guy doesn't have a brain, he has a chest. Tsunade was angry and died of anger, and directly broke out the maximum chakra. However, these chakras are like mud cows going into the sea, entering Night Feng's body, and disappearing completely, and Night Feng's body seems to be a bottomless pit. Now Tsunade is sweating profusely, and it is difficult to ride a tiger. She really didn't expect that Yefeng would be so difficult. Sarutobi saw Tsunade deflated, and immediately said, Yifeng, forget it, everyone take a step back. However, Yifeng did not pay attention to the words of the Ape Flying Sun, but instead Mulong used his strength and directly set up Tsunade's hand. Another thick vine rose up and struck Tsunade's ass. Syllable. Crisp audible sound. There was silence. Everyone looked at Yefeng dumbfounded. Yifeng said lightly, I don't educate her well now, and if I go out to make trouble in the future, won't it ruin Konoha's reputation, the reputation of Senju, and the reputation of 3 generations? Ding, congratulations to the host for completing choice 3, choose the mad Tsunade, educate the Tsunade well, and obtain, S-level ninjutsu, the art of 100 heroes. Yefeng was very satisfied. Tsunade's face was red and dripping blood, and the art of Hyakuheo broke out. With the force of both hands, he directly broke the wooden dragon. Go and die. Tsunade's feet condensed golden chakra, turned into a streamer, and kicked towards Yifeng. Physical surgery, pain in the feet. As long as you step heavily on the ground, you can collapse and crack. Kick on people, not knowing what will happen. Now Tsunade couldn't take care of it. It was like Yifeng's instant explosion to solve the hatred in her heart. Don't. Jiyoshi hurriedly blocked in front of Yifeng. Tsunade's face changed, this kick, she couldn't take it back. Jiyoshi get out of the way. The 3 generations of Hokage and Jiraiya also changed their faces and rushed forward. However, Feng's hand speed was faster, and it instantly froze. And not one print, but 3 reprints. At this moment, Tsunade saw 2 black stripes suddenly appear on Yokai's face, running through his eyes and meeting on his forehead and chin. The art of 100 heroes. Around Tsunade, 3 thick wooden dragons appeared, one after the other, encircling Tsunade layer by layer. Touch. In just an instant, Tsunade lost his vision and slammed heavily on the ground. When Tsunade was smashed on the ground, he was still wondering if he was blinded. Chapter 029. Ape Flying Sun. Chopper and Zilai were embarrassed to find that Yefeng didn't seem to need to save himself at all. Isn't it false at all? Ape Fei re-squinted his eyes, thinking to himself, is Yefeng already so strong? Stronger than Tsunade? Or is it style? The big snake pill who was watching from the sidelines was even more shocked, and now the strength shown by Yefeng was far higher than the strength he showed during his temptation a week ago. Now Yi Maple is incredibly strong. Orochimaru even felt that even if he was his own teacher, he could not completely suppress Tsunade so easily. You see, Tsunade is now so trapped on the ground that he can't move at all. At this time, Uzumaki Mito suddenly appeared. Ape Fei, what's going on? Then, Uzumaki Mito saw Tsunade bound on the ground, and his eyes widened. Feng, let go of Tsunade, what the hell is going on with you? When Uzumaki Mito appeared, Yokai lifted the 100 Heroes technique. In fact, the art of the 100 Heroes is similar to the enhancement ninjutsu. Open the 100 Hao technique, completely unlock the Yin seal, and allow the large amount of chakra stored in the Yin seal to be used freely, thus making it possible to launch large-scale ninjutsu and forbidden arts. And because chakra perfuses the whole body, the strength of physical skills and strange powers will increase. After closing the 100 Hao technique, the toughness of the wood dragon art naturally weakened. Bang! Tsunade directly shattered the wooden dragon, looking at Yefeng gritting his teeth. Bastard, I'm going to kill you. She was actually educated by a little guy under 20 years old. Ahem. Tsunade, don't make trouble. Ape Flying Sun. Chopper is also speechless. What are you doing to mess with Feng? Uzumaki Mito said lightly, go back. Gyoshina looked at Yokai, but still ran over to hold Tsunade. Tsunade glared at Gyoshinai. Gyoshinai, you turned your elbows out, and you actually turned towards outsiders. Uzumaki Mito glared at Tsunade. Enough. Get back. Sarutobi coughed and said, Tsunade, you need to go to the office with Jiraiya first. Tsunade glared at Yoritobi and huffed and followed the Ape Flying Sun. Halfway through, Jiraiya couldn't help but ask, Tsunade, is that Night Maple? Ugh. Tsunade roared angrily and punched Jiraiya in the face. Bang. Zilai also flew out directly upside down. Boom, the house in front of him collapsed directly, and several ninjas suddenly flew out. Enemy attack. Sarutobi glared at Tsunade, then walked up and said, it's okay, it's okay. Ah, Naruto-sama. It's you. Tsunade-sama. Lord Orochimaru. When these ninjas saw the Ape Flying Sun slashing them, they bowed their heads respectfully. Sarutobi asked with concern, are you all right? It's okay, it's okay. Well, I was just taken aback. At this time, there was a groan from the collapsed bricks. Ugh. Zilai also covered his face and climbed out. The ninjas all looked strange. Ape Fei took out a wad of money speechlessly and said, you guys will first be aggrieved to stay in a hotel tonight, and tomorrow morning I will ask someone to help you repair it. It's okay, Naruto-sama, we're not in a hurry. There you go. Yes, Naruto-sama. Turning around, Hokage looked at Tsunade coldly and said, repair it here, at least 50,000 taels, remember to go to the finance department to pay in advance. Tsunade snorted and said, no money. On the other side, Yokai and Gyoshinai followed Uzumaki Mito back. Can't you just let Tsunade-san sister? Gyoshinai glared angrily at Yefeng and said. Yefeng shrugged, he wanted to let it, but the system didn't give it. Look, now it's like this. I'll come back later, and quickly apologize to Tsunade's sister. Feng ignored it. Apologize what? It's Tsunade who made the move first, educate yourself, isn't it a normal thing? Jio-shi-nai saw the appearance of Feng's oil and salt not entering, so angry that he reached out to pinch the meat, and then Jio-shi-nai found that he couldn't pinch it so hard. Uzumaki Mito was also helpless. Kid, how did you guys fight? Feng explained the matter clearly one by one. When Jio-shi-nai heard this, he immediately blamed himself and said, "Hey, I drank too much. If I hadn't been drunk, I wouldn't have done this." Uzumaki Mito shook his head and said, "It's not your problem, Tsunade is so big and grinning." Then, Uzumaki Mito looked at Kid again and said, "Feng, when did you learn the Yin seal and the art of 100 how?" Jio-shi-nai's eyes widened. "What? Feng, when did you learn the Yin seal?" Jio-shi-nai was a little confused and didn't see clearly, but when Uzumaki Mito appeared, he could already see that Yokai had used the 100 how technique to unlock the Yin seal. At that time, Uzumaki Mito was also very surprised. This is just not said. Chapter 030. Feng scratched his head and said, "Well, it's all learned when you taught Jio-shi-nai by Grandma Mito." "What?" Jio-shi-nai's eyes are about to pop out. "Grandma Mito taught me. You are next to salted fish. I didn't learn, you learned." Jio-shi-nai suddenly felt very heartbroken. Uzumaki Mito was also stunned for a moment, revealing a look of surprise. "This kind of comprehension ability, I'm afraid it's not as good as the second generation, right? The Senju family is going to come out of the dragon. But you can't do that to Tsunade. It's really annoying to use vines to hit Tsunade." Feng also ignored it, returned to the small courtyard, and immediately went to take a bath. "When I was taking a bath, I suddenly remembered that there was a hot pond in the place just now, which is the most famous hot pond restaurant in Konoha Village. Speaking of which, I haven't been to the bath yet. Would you like to take a chance?" Feng immediately ran back to his room after washing. Then, the door slammed open. "Come in." Jio-shi-nai's hair came in wet, with a faint fragrance, her skin was white and red, there were a little water droplets, and she looked like she had just taken a bath. Feng was a little confused. It was so late, what did Jio-shi-nai want to do? Jio-shi-nai's face turned slightly red, and she said softly, "Kid, do you want to apologize to Tsunade's sister without waiting?" Looking at Jio-shi-nai's pleading look, Feng's heart softened and said, "Okay, isn't it just an apology?" Ding, according to the environment of the host, give 3 choices. Option 1, choose to apologize to Tsunade, admit your mistake, reward, a broken shuriken. Option 2, choose to forgive Tsunade, indicating that you are not angry at all, reward, A-level ninjutsu, shuriken shadow avatar art. Option 3, choose mad Tsunade, educate Tsunade well, and get A-level ninjutsu, shuriken in all directions. Well, the system you are good. Kid coughed and said, "I think I'm right, but I've forgiven Tsunade, I'm not angry at all, as long as Tsunade doesn't mess with me again." Jio-shi-nai glared at Feng and said, "Feng, are you apologizing?" "I'm right, why should I apologize?" Jio-shi-nai stomped his foot in anger. Suddenly the door slammed open. Feng and Jio-shi-nai were both stupid. Tsunade, who was standing at the door, was also dumbfounded and pointed at Yokai. "You, what are you doing in my room?" Jio-shi-nai suddenly blushed, and quickly waved his hand and said, "Sister Tsunade, we didn't do anything, it's like this, Feng wants to apologize to you." Kid was also a little confused, he slept in Tsunade's boudoir before, no wonder there was a special aroma. Apologize? Tsunade looked at Yorakid. Sister Tsunade, I have already forgiven you, and I am not angry at all about today's matter, as long as you don't mess with me again in the future. Well, don't blame me, the system forced me. I don't scare you, you already count me merciful. Congratulations to the host for completing choice 2, choose to forgive Tsunade, saying that he is not angry at all, reward, A-level ninjutsu, shuriken shadow avatar art. Tsunade smiled angrily, hee, boy, you come out, I don't want to ruin this place, let's go to the training ground to practice. At this time, Uzumaki Mito came over. Uzumaki Mito glanced at Tsunade and said, "You haven't come back for almost 2 years, will you fight and kill as soon as you come back?" Jio-shi-nai was in a hurry and looked at Feng. Feng shrugged and said, "I said I forgave her." Uzumaki Mito also knew that Feng ate soft and not hard, and sighed and said, "Okay, Tsunade, don't mess around, Yokai you too, She is your sister, you just let her. Tsunade was angry, do I need him to let? Lost a big face in front of so many people today. I didn't expect to try it out and turn out to be like this. Now, his boudoir is still occupied. My own grandmother is still to outsiders. Tsunade was angry, and his whole body chakra erupted. Shirnai hurriedly said, Sister Tsunade, or break your wrist with Feng. Kid, you broke your wrist with Tsunade's sister, if you lose, can you apologize to her? Kushina knew that Tsunade's strength was infinite, and in Konoha, breaking his wrist, no one was Tsunade's opponent at all. This can also give Tsunade a step down, and it can also make Hokage not too embarrassed. Feng suddenly smiled and said, this is not impossible. He remembered the episode in the anime where Tsunade and Thunder Kage duel and broke their wrists. That shocking scene. It's kind of interesting. Tsunade was originally very angry, and when he heard this, his eyes immediately lit up. Boy, do you dare to bet? I tell you, no one has ever won against me. Yes. It seems that the current Tsunade has not been compared with Lei Ying. That wrist break, in the end, Thunder Shadow won. Tsunade's strength is greater, but Thunder Kage is faster and uses a small trick to win Tsunade. By now, this plot should not have happened yet.